Silliness.
And what's wrong with that?
We paid for it, so
Yeah,
it was
no.
like not.
Yeah, Josh said he was going to be on, so hopefully he won't be too long.
Pretty awesome.
Was your day, Rye?
Good, it's pretty chill.
Did you were at your sister's today, or was that
That
yesterday?
was yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Today we
What'd you get to today?
went to the park with Riley. Had lunch at the park. Picked up some medicine because Riley's getting a little bit sick. And then just kind of relaxed. I've been watching a lot of this one guy on. Have you ever heard of the YouTube channel Extra Life?
Yeah, they do a lot of content for RPGs and stuff, right?
Yeah, him and two of his people he worked with, like, or lived with, not sure if whatever, got access to Night Rain, so I was watching some of that. So
Cool.
live streaming
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's gonna be
I saw that they were live streaming that. There was going to be some like releases, some exclusive releases.
Yeah, so I was watching that
Or
a bit.
something.
They showed. I don't know if you saw they showed the new the final character trailer yesterday.
Is it like the Harp Lady?
No, it was the Executioner.
Which one's the Executioner?
I think it was the. I
Or
think
the
they,
Executor?
Executor. Yeah, Executor. I think.
Yeah, sorry, like the super edgelord katana wielding blade master.
Well, he like
Yeah.
he can like parry enemy attacks and then like make his attack
Yeah.
and he's stronger. He transforms into like a giant wolf thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know all the characters that I was watching, they look like they're gonna be fun. All of them.
It should be a blast, I think.
You got the mage. You got the person that can go invisible. Big tank that can just like tank hits and not get stunned.
Oh.
Did some games with Josh today too. Played some Baldur's Gate.
Oh, yeah. Getting your pre-D&D fix in.
Well, we've been doing it on honor mode. It's freaking insane. It's not like it's a little bit more challenging. Like, so I wouldn't say it's like possibly hard kind of thing. But it's just like it's just so sketchy because like if you fuck up, it's GG's. You can only have one save, so you can't have multiple save files. So like, you know what I mean? So you can't just like in the middle of combat save the game because if you lose in combat, you start the fucking whole thing over again.
Right.
So it's really sketchy. It's like, do you want to take this fight on now? And if you do, you have to really plan kind of like how you're gonna maybe do it. But I will say the new they've added for the barbarian, they have like the giants barbarian. It's so fun. You get like advantage on your strength checks when it comes to throwing things. So like you just throw people around willy nilly. Oh, you come up here to fight me, you just throw them back down off the freaking ledge. You throw them off the map.
Seems like a solid strat. Just muscle.
Yeah, and then I think at level 5 you get an ability. It's a bonus action. It's a kick, where it allows you to kick things at twice what you push with. So if you push, let's see.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
so,
it's just one action, anyways, right?
yeah, but it's just fun. So like, it's like normally if you can't push the thing because they're too heavy, you might be able to kick them still because you can kick at twice what your regular push would be. So that's fun.
Right.
And then you also get I think an extra like +2 or something like that, or I think +2 damage if you throw something on while you're raging. So you get your regular rage bonus plus an extra 2 on top of that. So you can just use.
You can throw anything.
As long as it's within
Does
your.
throwing a dagger count?
Yep.
Or is that just an
No,
attack action?
that counts as the throwing thing.
Alright, well, you'd probably use like a hand axe or something.
Well, I have
anyways.
with there was an item I bought. It's like the spear of returning. So every time you throw it, it just comes back to you.
Oh yeah.
So I just always have something to throw.
What's Josh playing right now?
What game is he playing?
Probably League.
No, either League or it's like some RTS type game.
I can never get into League. just
Nope.
stress me out too much.
There was
I like watching it.
Yeah, if you're not playing it, well, it's like watching like Halo now. I'll still watch competitive Halo, but
Did you watch any of it
there's
this
no way I
weekend?
can play comp. No, I didn't catch the finals yet, so I've been slightly.
Is it actually
tagging
still
along.
on?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Oh,
I think it's
Microsoft, they'll make sure Halo stays alive until they actually come out with a good game.
yeah. The next
I'm
one,
sure
this
I'm
is
sure it's
confusing.
bleeding money.
the
Yeah,
the
there's
next
no
one,
way.
the
and
next
it's
the next
hemorrhage.
one that they're gonna make more money off of Halo is putting it onto PlayStation.
Probably.
Well, they've already put Forza onto PlayStation.
Mm-hmm. Sea of Thieves,
See if the like so.
Indiana Jones.
Bum, bum, bum.
I don't even have Josh on Steam. Oh wait, no, he's Flail, right?
But he's flow.
Yeah.
Yeah, never mind. I got him.
We also played a little bit of Apex, me and Josh today. Dude,
Mhm.
it's not as bad as I say it was before. Like when we were playing it still heavy. What's bad about it now is that the meta is just the same. So it's no matter no matter how many times you fight, you always run into the same three people. That's the only characters that people play
Yeah.
now.
Well, I saw that they brought back they buffed the dual pistols again.
Not
The
even that.
P20,
Oh, good.
Not even
20s.
that. Not even that. It's just like that. Everybody just the meta right now is ballistic, Ash, and Alter. So it's just it's the worst third party because Alter's alt lasts forever now unless it gets destroyed. So people will just place it down and then they'll just
Push
run
in
it.
and
They'll
then-
just run it, and even if they get knocked, they just teleport back.
Yeah.
It's just there's no like diversity. You're always getting and then you can't run away because Ash can get double dash. So it doesn't matter how fast you're.
There's a sweet point, I think, for those types of games where all of a sudden there's just so many legends that there's always an abusable strat that's going to be really annoying, just because they can't balance everything all the time.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what they did, but it's been rough.
There's just so many characters in that game now. The new character is not meta, I take it.
He's pretty good. Like he's not good enough to compete with Ash and Alter.
I don't think I've
and-
seen him in comp yet.
No.
Well, I haven't really watched that much comp.
Yeah, I don't think he will be in comp. Like he's pretty well rounded. Like I feel like from when I play him, he has a lot of nice things. Like it's nice to be able to use this tactical to scan survey beacons from a distance. And it's nice to also be able to place them down, and that way you don't have to constantly be like scanning behind you because you just like have it behind you and it'll scan enemies for you. His double jump is nice, but also really annoying to fight against. And his alt is not broken, but it can be pretty broken. It's not like completely busted because it's easy to like stay out of its line of sight, but if you get hit by it, it will fuck you. It's just a constant. It's a base. I think just like does 20 per like every time it like blasts out. But and one of his upgrades can make it so that whenever he hits an enemy, he heals for the damage. So if you have like 5 enemies in a thing and it just goes hits all of them for 20, that's just an automatic, 100 free health
320.
regen.
Ba, 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 ba. Ooh.
Did Edmonton win today? I think last I looked it was 4-1.
It was 6-1, I think, at the end. Not too shabby.
Yeah, not bad. Well, fuck, that was like the Florida game yesterday. I was watching. I think it was like 1-1 or 2-1, and the next time I checked it, it's fucking 6-1. It's like, what
Yeah.
the fuck happened? Like, and they scored 5 goals in 4 minutes or some shit.
Where this boy at?
Guess we'll never know. I found your name too.
Wow, Ryan.
Had to
Break
be,
the chain, buddy.
had to be different.
I can't believe you. I thought I knew you.
Ooh, nice backtracking.
It's just slightly smaller.
I
Why?
have no idea. Just go-
You guys ever watch the Insidious movies?
think I've
Yeah, I
seen-
watched the first 2 or 3. I think.
I was thinking, I
and then
think,
stopped.
I think I've seen the first one.
I'm a big fan of that series just because I think they do like.
I think it's really good too. I just haven't watched it. The first one was like the first horror movie that I think I liked.
Mhm. I would agree with you in that just like it was more there was more depth to it than just like
Yeah,
scary
there's a
person
story.
stalks random things. Scary person stalks slutty college teens in the forest. Yeah,
What?
no, I'm good.
Mhm.
Amy and I watched
Anyways,
a horror movie.
point of my story. Watch the newest one. It's called The Red Door. I guess it came out in 2023.
I think I've heard of it.
Fucking got halfway through, I had to turn it off. It was that boring.
No, that's
I know, dude. I was like, what the shit? Like, there's no. It's got the same characters and like the same actors and stuff, but like, it just like doesn't hold the same stakes, and it feels like really. I don't know, like the ghosts, or for lack of a better term, just like aren't iconic enough to be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think I really liked them.
It was a story that could kind of peter out. So I think at the third one, it was the flashback movie, where I think it went back in time and it followed
Him as a kid, like the dad as a kid.
him as the kid, and I think the older lady from the 1st
Mhm.
movie also played a part in it. And it was
Yeah.
good, but I think
Yeah.
it was like teetering on the edge of okay,
Too
this
much.
might be the last good one.
Are we jumping the shark here? Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if any of you guys they had them on Netflix a few years ago. They were like
Fear Street. You watched the,
the-
new one.
the Fear Street. Yeah, yeah. We watched the Prom Queen one.
Was it
Never
good?
heard of it.
It was enjoyable.
That
Compare
doesn't sound like a good glowing
no,
review.
well,
Especially from you.
compa-
You love everything.
comparing it to the other Fear Street movies that came out a few years ago, it doesn't stand like at all. Like it's those those other three ones that they had were much better. It was still like a fun movie. Like it was like I still enjoyed
I'm
it.
gonna
Like
say it's gonna be bad because in my mind you're like IGN and you give things 10 out of 10 even though they're like horrible objectively. So if you think it's moderate, then it's got to be like real bad.
like I enjoyed it, but like would I watch it again? No. Was I surprised by some of the the
Listen, man, you had me at it was okay. You've imparted as much
He,
knowledge.
lo-
as
he
possible.
lost you at it's okay.
You
yeah.
lost me, and it's okay.
So
Yeah, it's not like my dad. When he says a movie's okay, it could be any which way.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that
No,
was okay. I've heard
Yeah,
that
was
like
it?
20
Yeah.
times after every single movie.
like, how am I supposed to
That was
interpret
alright.
I feel like that's just your dad though. I feel like I don't think I've ever like even like when we used to like watch movies when I used to go over to your parents' place. I don't think I ever really seen him be like super excited afterwards. A movie. He would just like end the movie and then just kind of like look over at
Shrug.
you and then just be like and then get up and leave. It's like
Yeah.
like he'd gather up the pop
That
like
describes
the
it pretty
the
well.
bowls and just like leave. It's like what?
Yeah.
I feel like we watched
I
one
think-
or two with your dad, or at least I came for and did. We watched The Green Knight once, and
Yeah.
maybe there was another movie.
That
Maybe
movie I
Fast
think
and
was a
Furious or
disappointment
something?
for him.
Yeah, I don't know if
It
there was
has to
anything left
be-
to the imagination. I'm pretty sure he got up and
Anything-
was like, "That was bad."
Yeah, anything between a 3 and a 8 is probably okay. And
Yeah.
then if it's probably even like a 2 and a 9. There's only like 2 times I've ever heard him say a movie was bad, and it was who's the guy that plays the vampire in
Jared Leto.
No. The old
Edward.
That was a good guess.
No. Like
I'll let you finish. Go
Wesley
ahead.
Snipes. Wesley
Blade?
Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes.
But it was like after those movies had been out for like a really long time, he did like this Western movie, and it was just crap from beginning to end. And my dad just like after the credits start, he just like turns it off and he stands up. He's like, "Well, that was crap."
That's
I've
funny.
never heard of this
Wesley
movie before
Snipes, not
putting
a
it
great
in.
actor.
But if you
West.
talk to him about like the Avengers movies, he has some passion.
Was it called Gallow Walkers?
Gallow Walkers, that was it. What's it
Yeah,
rated?
it's 3.6, 12%
The
on
fuck
Rotten
is
Tomatoes.
Gallow
12%.
Walkers?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it was pretty
Wesley
strong.
Snipes is cursed in the womb, and as an adult, anyone he kills rises as the Walking Dead.
What the?
fuck?
My dad
Oh,
was excited. He was
oh,
like, "Just Wesley Snipes
Oh,
in it."
what?
Thought it
Is a
was
2012 American Western horror.
Wow, that looks so bad.
good. Yep.
Wesley Snipes does not look like a person that
How
would
was
exist
it?
in that time period.
I don't recognize.
It looked
I
like
don't
3 out of
recognize.
5
Yeah,
on
I don't
Amazon.
recognize any of the other people in the movie other than Wesley Snipes. I'm looking at the cast. No idea who that is or that. This person's name. Oh, that person's name is almost Taint, but it's not.
Wow.
I've
reviews.
never heard of any of these people. Budget was 17 million. Does that check out? Probably.
Critic
Yeah, it
reviews,
does.
audience reviews. Still better than John Wick 4. 5 stars. Bullshit.
I still have to
Oh,
watch
that's
John
bad.
Wick 4. I ended up on Wikipedia.
okay.
Do you guys
One,
ever? Have
two,
you guys
three.
ever played the Wikipedia game where you like start off with like say Toronto and you have to try and end with the Titanic and see how many
They did
steps
that, like
and,
that.
and see
Through
how,
links on the
Yeah.
pages, yeah.
yeah.
That's a fun one. Yep, zombie western could have been interesting. It wasn't. That's perfect.
IMDb 3.6, Rotten Tomatoes 12, Amazon 4.3 out of 5. People on Amazon
Holy
don't.
shit, Joshua! You had all week to plan for this time.
He was even telling me he was going to be on. Oh,
TikTok, motherfucker.
That's what I want Ryan's familiar to look like if he ever gets one.
All right.
Super serious than just that picture. And if you can make it animated like that too, as well, I move it around.
Yeah, I'll get my best guy on it.
Critics
Can you make it extra creepy, like
is Gala Walkers a good movie? Critic reviews. There's so much mad potential in Gala Walkers, but the finished product never becomes more than a bunch of crazy nonsense thrown into a blender.
Alright. We get it. It sucks. All I needed to hear was my dad say that it sucked.
Is this the little dude from Howl's Moving Castle
Yeah.
who like eats the? I've only ever seen like the TikTok reel where like he's making
Oh,
breakfast. And he
Josh
eats the
responded.
fire.
Does that mean that he's ready?
No, doesn't. Just finishing a game, then I'll be on. Says the man 20 minutes late.
Did he just start the game when he said that?
He's even the one that said 6:30.
Yeah. That's fine. Is what it is.
Nice.
Got him.
Bump.
My beer's gonna be gone by the time we start.
Oh, I also need a beer, I think. Some sort of beverage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're 20 minutes late. Mhm. Well,
I mean,
we
we could
do
always.
begin with Ryan tonight.
I was gonna
I don't know if
say,
you guys
you just start with me if you really wanted. I don't see that
really
being
up
an
to you
issue.
guys.
What's that?
We begin with Ryan tonight, so it doesn't really involve Josh. It's kind of up to you.
Kind of. I don't want him to miss anything.
That's fair.
You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, dude. At the same time,
We decided on this time like when? Way earlier in the week, right? Like 2 days ago. You lose. Oof.
I know. Harsh words.
Yikes, man. He's already dead. Bum 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 bum.
Ryan, for your YouTube, I would recommend making the Roll20 screen bigger. You should make the player pictures smaller and all fit on one side
Like
or
on the
something, like
side.
a stack of 5.
Mhm.
Or like
No, no.
maybe,
Yeah, I
yeah,
can do that for next time. I just have to edit it throughout the week.
yeah, just looks squished.
Ooh. Should have done some vocal exercises before this. Ow now, brown cow.
Brown now, brown
The
cow.
human
Red
torch.
leather, yellow leather.
A human torch was denied a bank loan.
Oh, poor guy.
Is that one?
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's from Anchorman.
Oh, okay.
Ow now, brown cow, and that one are both what Ron Burgundy says before he gets started.
It sounds stupid enough to not actually work.
Yep.
Anchorman's a movie that I haven't seen in a while, but it's a fun one.
Oh, it's great.
It's a fun one. I just love the fight scene.
Oh, with like all the news stations.
Yeah, he fucking has a trident and then a grenade.
Very curious what game this is that he's playing.
Probably
Gotta
League.
be League.
At this point, it's probably
Has to be.
League. League always takes like a half hour.
So he started it right before? That doesn't make sense to me. There's no way.
Doesn't even say he's playing anything. That's the weird.
That's what I'm
part.
saying. Well, if he's playing League, it's not. It's a separate
in a
launcher.
different
It's not a Steam
yeah.
launcher, so it wouldn't show up.
Yo, if he shows up and he lost, boy, I'll be livid.
Do you know, Ty, did you know that? What is it? I was looking into the other because I was just bored. But people that made Dofus made a roguelite.
Oh, what's it called?
It's called Savara. Or Savara. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's just I went.
And Kama.
It was in the launcher, so I saw it.
Savara on Steam.
A colorful action roguelite.
It's got very positive reviews. It came out May 6th. That's very new.
It doesn't appear to be. According to this, it's like $25, but like I'm not gonna try to play it. But like, I saw
There's a
that.
demo.
I see an IOP.
Do you? I see a giant person with a sword. Is that an IOP?
Kind of what they look like, yeah.
I see a sword and shield. They look very similar to the folk in. People in this universe don't have noses. But they
What?
smell.
Hello?
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 What happened?
What did Ryan say what for?
Because basically they don't. He said they don't have noses. So I was like, what?
Oh, okay.
They don't. Think I'm making that up?
Yeah.
It was only single player though, so
Oh,
not
is it?
interested.
Yeah, I don't really play games for that single playerness anymore.
Nope.
So I will say, is it what that left Ubisoft made Expedition 33?
I don't.
I read that
I don't think I didn't. I've never heard anything about it being Ubisoft, but I heard that's only like a small team of like 30 people or something like that. Developer Sandfall Interactive. Oh yeah, so Sandfall Interactive is owned by Guillermo Brochures, company CEO, creative director, and founder. He previously worked at Ubisoft. So at least one guy is part of Ubisoft.
Sometimes 15 minutes, sometimes 50. Cool. Why did you start one right before we started?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Discover all the team members. Guillermo Brioche. What a name, Guillermo Brioche. Come on, it's a great name. That guy has way too much forehead. Thomas Frappart. Game designer. All that brain. Florian Torres. That's a great name too. I'm gonna write some of these names down and make them show up in our campaign.
I ask 8 civilians what their names are on the way.
Yeah. Every time we go.
Oh shit! You're gonna make me improvise that shit, huh?
Yep. Hey, you said
Hey, no.
you said you were gonna do it, so now it's.
This person's name is
Yes.
Jennifer Stendenberg, and it goes by Yen. That sounds really related to Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones.
Yenenberg? Or, yeah, The Witcher.
Stendenberg, yeah. Yennefer of Vengerberg. Sounds
Hmm.
pretty familiar. Josh, did you win?
Oh fuck no.
Did you finally just
that long? Was it League?
Yes, sir.
did you decide to Alt F4?
No, actually, we surrendered in the end. We were doing 5-man queue, but we have one guy who's playing top and decides to pick an ADC top. He's done that the last 2 games and absolutely shits his lane. I'm just like, oh.
Was
No.
it Vayne?
No, I mean, I'd be okay if it was a Vayne. He picked Ezreal for the one game and I don't know, like a Twitch or something for the other. Like terrible picks. Terrible picks.
Okay, it's pretty tough.
So it's kinda brutal.
Okay.
No more League Cup.
Discuss on the road. Okay. I think the last time we stopped, we saw Thalendor make his way down from Dalmos's Forge on the outskirts of Akros to the harbor where he wasn't too hard to spot by one Captain Siona. He was the only person that kind of looked out of place, not stocking cargo or, pulling mooring lines, all that sort of stuff. We also left off with Belran Stonebin and Telemann Iros leaving the Civic Engineers Hall after being requested by the 3rd Division of City Planning to investigate the derelict ruins of a building on the lower east side of Miletus. We also left off with Varen. He had just successfully completed another one of his heists, not forgetting to slip a playing card into the bag that he swapped with the courier at the fountain in front of the Temple of Heliod. Varen, what was on that playing card?
It was on the back of the card, you see what looks like a beautiful frame with a mirror on the inside. Like a frame holding a mirror. And if the courier was to flip it over, it would say, "What you see is not what it is. What you trust is not who you serve."
Very cool. I love that. Now, is that something that is written on multiple cards, or is it something
No, that is directed.
Okay, so it's very directed at the individual himself. Um, is that something that Varen finds himself doing often? Is sort of like tailing a person, kind of getting to know what they do or why they do it, and kind of personalizing the calling card?
Yeah, he likes to make a statement piece. There's something to just taking from somebody, but he also likes to give something back.
Right.
A lesson
mean, a moral of the story.
along with the heist.
Incredible. Okay. Well, tonight we're going to begin with Thalindor.
Thalindor.
Thalindor, sorry. Thalindor. I'm going to put a hyphen in my notes to pronounce it that way. Thalindor, you are whisked away by a very friendly, comely woman with, the aesthetics of a sailor, right? Leather gear, cutlass on her side, strong fitted belt that wraps with numerous tools, sextants, and telescopes of the like. She whisks you away, introducing herself as Captain Siona. She's captain of the Salt Crow. She puts you aboard, kind of tells you, just kind of stay out of the way. The crew's still loading the last few pieces of cargo. We set sail for Miletus forthwith. She tells you that it's going to be about a 2 days journey, and that you can find refuge on the crew deck. They've set aside a hammock for you to get some rest, but in the meantime, the rest of those 2 days is kind of up to you. What do you think Thalindor would do aboard a ship, potentially for the first time in his life? What would he do aboard a ship at sea, surrounded by unfamiliar faces?
So we're
Where
still
would he find himself?
so we're still just in the dock.
You're set at sea now. We're basically gonna time jump this, basically based on what you would be doing, and we can do a little RP as to what might happen on your journey.
Well, first I feel like I'm just gonna I'd be in my hammock, just laying there, just really studying that medallion to see if anything happens while I'm just like, moving it around, looking at different edges. Does it do anything if I hold up to the light? Just trying to see if I can figure out what there's
Give
more
me
to do with it.
an investigation check. 11. Okay.
No,
on
that
an
was
11,
21.
Okay. On a natural 20, again, just starting off with a bang. You sort of hold the amulet in your hands, and you get an overwhelming sense of purpose. You derive warmth, and on a 20, you also sense something divine inside. You can't really put your hand on it. If it was possible for you to get past the 25 at this point in your career, as a player, you might be able to discern a little more, but you get inclinations of, a geas or a quest that might be pulling you somewhere. And I guess on a 20, you would also feel it kind of pulls in a direction. As you kind of, lay it back over your neck and onto your chest, you feel it kind of almost hover off your chest, and as you move around, it kind of pulls in a direction, the same direction every time, no matter how you sort of orient yourself, almost compass-like in the nature.
Which direction is it constantly pulling?
You can't be certain because you don't really know your directions. You're at sea for the first time in your life. If you want to give me just another a survival check, we'll see if you can kind of determine which way is north, south, east, west. You have no goddamn clue.
The fuck is with
Wow,
me?
You are
The
literally
back
That's
in.
sick.
opposite ends.
What the fuck is this?
Wow.
Cool, very cool.
All right, well, I guess I'll
Um,
just kind of like, since I don't know which direction, I'm just gonna kind of like go with the way it's pulling, just so you know. I'll probably end up, I guess, like on the deck of the boat or whatever, and just
hmm.
look out into
Yeah.
the sea the way that it's pulling me.
Yeah, and as you do that, you find yourself kind of at the. I gotta make sure this is the right word.
Port, stern.
Prow. You find yourself at the prow, which is the tip of the boat, and it kind of is. If you were to follow it or continue to follow it, it would pull you into the water.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Your body, basically, your mind goes, "Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of going that way," but it's kind of leading in the direction that the boat is traveling, which
Okay.
good for you, right? Thankfully. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Mhm.
As I get out to onto the deck, I also do I like hear any of like interesting chatter? Do I hear anybody say like, "There's the land," or just anything, or is it all just kind of everybody just makeshift doing their jobs, not really talking amongst each other?
So I think the crew around you is a bit of a patchwork of scowls, scars, and silent judgment. On that investigation roll, carry it forward. You kind of get a sense that they're side eyeing you and maybe just a little uncomfortable with you being on their ship. You don't know this to be true, but you kind of suspect that maybe they weren't made aware that they were carrying more than just cargo on this trip between Akros and Miletus. So,
Okay.
they mill about, tying down mast, sails and lifting boxes, mopping the deck. The ship sort of creaks and groans beneath your boots. As you're kind of gazing out into the ocean, give me a perception check. Okay. Yeah, you sense someone.
That was almost another nat 20. I was a 19.
I know, you're kind of rolling both ends of the spectrum here. It's insane.
Jesus.
Just a little bit of whiplash, rubber banding. Yeah, you kind of get the sense with that 25, you kind of like put out all of the hustle and bustle out of your mind. You're able to sort of like hear clearly footsteps with intention approaching from behind you.
I quickly turn around to see who it is, if I recognize them.
Oh, Felindor. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. And you see Captain Siona approaches. How are you settling in? You found your bunk all right?
Yeah, I believe so. It's my first time being on a boat like this, so it's kind of awkward. But the hammock, it's definitely nice.
Huh. I know it's maybe not the most fitting of accommodations, but we sort of have to make do. There's not much room for niceties on a vessel of this size. And she sort of puts her hand on the railing. I've captained the Salt Crow for some 20 years, and I hope I can inspire confidence, but she's never done me wrong before, so I hope you're not concerned about our voyage at all.
Well, so, I mean, seems like it's been going good so far this past day and a bit. So I think everything is good. Nothing to worry about.
Amazing. Yes, I meant to ask you. This must be some meeting in Miletus. I've owed that old pile of slag a favor for so long. I honestly thought I'd meet Erebos before I paid my debt. You don't have to give me an explanation by any means, but what are you hoping to find out there?
Honestly, not much. Obviously Delmos told me to get on this boat. He said he has some people that owed him some favors. So I guess I don't know if you've heard of a guy named Vosk. I was told that should meet up with
See
Vosk.
her
Was like,
eyes sort of like light up, and she kind of smirks a little bit. Sorry, go on.
no, just yeah. Vosk was someone that Delmos told me I should meet up with when I get there.
Ah, Vosk, eh? Yeah, that tracks. Well, I mean, the lads and I have probably one too many times found ourselves at the door of Vosk's. He runs a bit of a tavern in Skillet, down at the docks, aptly named the Dockline Skillet and Tavern. I'd be happy to point that out to you when we arrive in port, if that be used to you.
What was that? Kind of cut out for me a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Basically, she asks and tells you that she's been to the Dockline Skillet numerous times. She knows Vosk and would be happy to point you in the right direction or even introduce you.
Sounds good to me. So I'm not sure who I'm looking for at all. So it'd be nice to have a friendly face with me when I go meet Vosk.
Oh, of course, of course. Listen, I should also warn you that Meletus kind of ain't like it used to be. There's these damn red cloaks that are all over the place, and they've actually started to check shipments coming specifically out of Akros for illegal cargo. I don't want you to be surprised if we run across them at the port. But just to put your mind at ease, I have come to know the harbor master quite well. And she sort of winks and goes, you grease the right palms, and, they look the other way. So, but that is to say, if they do ask you, just make something up, like you're on a holy pilgrimage, or you're there to observe the holy radiance of Heliod. They might find that agreeable. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can handle that if it were to unfold that way.
Good. She's sort of like, Captain! And she sort of like looks behind her. You start to hear like the ringing of bells, and since like you got on the ship, you haven't really seen much in the way of seabirds or any sort of other life. Maybe like the odd time there were like disturbances in the water, schools of fish kind of traveling past the boat, or give me a luck check. We'll see if any crazy creatures show up. All right. Yeah. So like as you're progressing, you do actually come across some life as the boat makes its way across the open ocean. Very, very late evening, or like, let's say late afternoon on the first day, one of the soldiers from the Crow's Nest sort of makes a, hey, look at that! And you kind of look up to the sky, and you notice like a massive bird of prey. And I mean like huge. Its shadow sort of like covers the boat, and its wings, if you had to estimate, would be like 15 to 20 feet wingspan.
Big bird.
Yeah, big bird. Nobody on the boat really knows what it is. There was some speculation that it might be a rock of some sort, or the Thunderbird. There's all these sailors' tales about large creatures that call the open ocean their hunting ground, searching for pods of dolphins and whales and stuff. But outside of that, very uneventful journey. Weren't racked by any storms. It was nice weather. But as the captain sort of called away by the first mate, you start to hear ding, 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 and the squawks of seabirds. You sort of turn back around, and on the horizon, you can barely make out what looks to be like land of some sort. You can't really see exactly what it is yet, but you kind of get the sense that you're closing in on your destination. Okay?
All right.
Amazing. So, as you sort of progress, you kind of enter the bay of Meletus, and you are granted, or you are met by, where are you? No. Sorry. So sometimes on the Roll20, like I have my maps uploaded, but they're just like grayed out pictures, so the words don't really make sense sometimes. So you're greeted by this. This is sort of your site. As you enter, you look up and you see two massive statues that are standing
What?
guard over
No.
the entrance to the harbor. Both appear to be locked in eternal vigilance. One lifts a spear high towards the heavens. The other grasps a scroll or parchment in his right hand. And both appear to sort of be looking out at the horizon, acting as sentinels, and, you know, ushering you into the city. Do you think Thalendor would know anything about these statues?
I would say no.
Okay.
All this would be
So-
new to him because he never really left Akros.
How would you sort of feel seeing this image? Now, granted, you're obviously a little bit lower, so you're not this high in the air, but you can definitely make out these 30 to 40 foot statues of like bronze and marble that sort of,
Yeah.
as you're traveling through
I think you
a
just
tower over you.
just kind of be a little like confused as to how something like this was, you know, maybe built, or like where's this leading him to, like just taking everything in as
yeah.
like what the.
So as that happens, the first mate notices sort of the awe on your face, right? It's almost like something you can't hide. He approaches and says, "Ah, lad, that's K&O Sentiro. They founded this place long ago when people yearned for freedom. Or at least that's how the story goes. Great warriors, those two. Freed this land from tyranny and slavery. Incredible. And now they ever vigilant to keep watch over the city's entrance." Yeah, so you know these. He sort of goes on and explains that these were basically the statues of. They depict the two great first leaders of Miletus. The history behind it he doesn't quite know, but he just knows that these two statues depict two great individuals who have ever watched over the harbor.
Okay.
Yeah, so as you sort of make your way past the two towers towards the seawall into the Bay of Miletus, you kind of look up into the city. The bay is obviously at the lowest point, and the city sort of unfolds in like tiers ahead of you. You see white marble towers that gleam off the cliffs. You notice a series of banners that kind of flow in the wind, most of which are red and gold. And you kind of notice that the city itself is sort of split into what appears to be the dock level, the mid-level polis, and the upper echelon area where the temples and the columns and everything just seem to be bigger, brighter, bolder. And you get a sense that much like a hierarchy of people, this city suffers a little bit from a classist base. Yeah, and you sort of make your way into port, and as predicted by Captain Siona, you see a series of red and gold clad people standing at one of the docks. They kind of line the side of it. They hoist out red and gold banners, one adorned with like a flaming eye of some sort. And they sort of are flagging down the ship and pulling it in to a specific docking location. And as that happens, you kind of watch the crew kind of, get into their positions, throwing over mooring lines, taking down the sails, and the boat that was once sort of traveling at quite a great speed has now started to descend, slow down, and slowly makes its way into port. And you have now arrived at the port of Miletus. Welcome. Yeah. So as that happens, as Captain Siona sort of coaxes the Salt Crow into port, her crew starts to toss the mooring lines onto the docks. They're caught by some of the members of this red and gold clad group, and they tie off the boat and sort of pull it into harbor. Everything else is sort of dropped and squared away, and you sort of watch as the crew, you kind of get a sense that they've done this before because they kind of line up ahead of the central mast, standing at attention with you yourself sort of in the line, kind of a little further back, not sort of in the central line, but kind of hidden a little bit. And Siona comes down from the captain's perch. Her and her first mate sort of toss the gangplank across onto the dock, where the soldiers are. What are you sort of thinking at this point?
I'm just kind of sitting there, not really thinking too much, just kind of watching everybody do what they do and just hoping no one approaches me and asks me anything. Hopefully I can just make it smoothly off the boat.
Are you trying to blend in at all, or are you trying to just stand? What is Thalendor?
Yeah, I would be trying to
making a conscious effort to hide.
Well, I'd be trying to just blend in, not necessarily hide, but just blend in, look like I'm supposed to be there, kind of.
Okay. Do you think it would be something that would be worth making a stealth roll? Would you try to be avoiding people's eyes, or are you just kind of there?
I'd maybe be trying to avoid eyes, but
Okay, give me a stealth roll. All right. Yeah, as you do that, you kind of you hide yourself away a little bit, but in doing so, you kind of make a little bit of commotion. You kind of trip over a knot in one of the planks on the boat, and you nudge one of the soldiers a little bit, who angrily turns back at you and says, "Stand at attention, boy." Sorry. Interesting time to come in when I'm yelling. Nicole is delivering the ice cream.
Sorry, guys.
Ooh, piece of candy.
Double raspberry, double caramel, or loads of cinnamon churro. Bro, I don't know. Loads of cinnamon churro.
I'll take loads of anything.
Sorry, go back to yelling. I'll grab it.
Okay.
Roll for ice cream.
Roll for ice cream. So as the gangplank is sort of lowered onto the dock with a thud, Thalendor, you kind of hear the stomping of chained or metal boots coming up the gangplank. Sounds like quite the procession. From where you are standing, you kind of look between the gap. You're standing behind the front line. So you're looking over the shoulders of a few of the crewmates, and you see a series of red and gold clad people coming up the gangplank, most of which are kind of helmed in red and gold armor. They've got pauldrons on and what appears to be some sort of spear or stave on their backs. You see them sort of come up the gangplank and in very much fashion of royalty or guards, they do that thing where they sort of walk up, look at the crew, turn to the right, and sort of walk down the adjacent side of the ship, sort of where the ledge would be, and they stand at attention. That happens with 5 groups of 2. So there's now 10 soldiers kind of lining the docks, and you sort of notice at the end of that procession, a slender man walks up. He's not covered in chainmail. Rather, he wears robes lined with red and gold, and from where you can see, his chest sort of has that same symbol that you see on the standards being held by some of the soldiers. It's that eye that's got a flame that sort of seems to be rising from it. From where you are, he's a slender man. He's tall. He has kind of what you would describe as like Vulpine features, kind of foxy. You see that he is close cropped, grayish black hair with sunken eyes that are set into like a delicate face with thin lips and a sharp nose. As he sort of makes his way up the gangplank, he sort of walks back and forth, having a look at some of the soldiers. And he says something to a few of them. They sort of stand at attention. He sort of turns around, pulls a scroll out from sort of his back bag or whatever, and goes, "Attention, Captain and crew of the Salt Crow. I am Verados Pyrothane, High Inquisitor of the Radiant Flame, and you are hereby subject to search and seizure." He looks at Captain Siona, who is quite surprised, and he goes, "Well, Captain, were you expecting someone else?" You hear Siona go, "Nope, no, sir. Just surprised to see the High Inquisitor of the Radiant Flame so far from the Temple of Heliod." You sort of note that he smirks a little bit as he's talking to her, and he goes, "Well, Heliod's light does shine on all. Anything to declare, Captain?" Siona sort of like motions to where you are. She kind of looks, you kind of catch her glance a little bit as he says that. And give me a perception check on that.
Perception.
You don't really know what she's trying to convey, but you find it strange that she would like look directly to where you are after that being said. She looks back and sort of under her breath, she whispers something, and then the High Inquisitor goes, "Sorry, what was that?" And she says, "Nothing of significance, High Inquisitor." And you see him sort of turn around and make his way along between the two parties, so walking between his men and the line of crew on the ship. His hands are folded behind his back, and you hear him go, "Well, I'll be the judge of that. Search the ship, confiscate anything that contradicts the teachings of Heliod." And you hear Siona go, "Verados, you worm!" And you hear at that the drawing of a blade. And the crew ahead of you starts to do the same thing, and you sort of feel the tension growing as the crew kind of grab for items or pull their cutlasses out. You kind of look over the shoulders of the crew ahead of you, and you notice that the soldiers who were sort of standing at attention have now begun to draw their war staves. The weapons are beginning to raise, and you see Verados. He lifts his right hand ever so slightly, and his men begin to stand down. The weapons sort of fall away, and he goes, Now, Captain, please see reason. Being barred from Miletus would hardly do for one who does so heavily rely on doing business here." He looks at her. You hear, "Weapons down, men." And as she says that, the crew ahead of you sort of like, you hear some grunts and gasps and whatnot, but they do as requested, and the swords sort of slide back into their holsters or their sheaths. "Much better. Now, search the ship, confiscate anything of value, and toss the rest." And you, as he says that, he walks closer to Siona, and you hear him say, "Call it recompense for your insolence." And as that happens, he sort of again makes his rounds as his men start to push past the crew down into the cargo hold. They're like tearing boxes open, taking things, anything that was shiny or might have significance or value, they take. Everything else you start to see being pushed over the side. There's obviously audible gasps and frustrations from the men on the dock or on the ship. And what do you do at this point?
I just kind of just stand there and just don't want to intervene or get in their way because
Okay.
obviously I don't know all the customs and shit, how things work here.
As that happens, you kind of look and you see Verdos as he's kind of looking around. You catch him kind of make eye contact with you. And for a second, you kind of see in his eyes. Give me a perception check again. Nice. Yeah. With that 19, you see a quick shimmer cross over his eyes. And you get a sensation of like uncomfort, as something magical has sort of just struck you.
Okay.
He looks towards you, and he approaches, and he looks at you, kind of looks up and down. Well, well, well. What do we have here? And he sort of like circles you a little bit as you stand at attention. An Eladrin? No. Something more? He sort of again makes his way around you, inspecting you. Is that Fey blood I sense? It is. Though not wild. Shaped by fire? And as he does that, you sort of look him in the eyes, and his eyes begin to narrow. What is your name?
Thalandor.
Thalandor. Interesting. Who do you serve?
Delmos.
He looks at you kind of surprised. I mean, which god do you serve?
Heliod.
Give me a persuasion check with advantage. Nice.
You needed it.
You did.
Maybe.
18's pretty good.
Another follower of Heliod. What brings you to Miletus?
Well, back where I'm from, my forge master Delmos sent me here. He says that he has a friend here named Vosk, and he just kind of wants me to come see Vosk and kind of give him an update on how Delmos is doing and just kind of catch up.
Give me a deception roll with advantage.
There's 1. There's 2.
Nailing it with these plus zeros.
Yeah, wild. Good rolls. You see Veridos nods. Very well. And you see sort of his like fox-esque vulpine features. The side of his lips sort of curls up in a smirk. Well, we've had our fair share of incidents with Fey-marked wanderers here of late. do not give me cause to regret letting you in, Smith. And he sort of like begins to motion towards the gangplank before like stopping for a second. Before you go, however, it is not often that I meet a fellow follower of Heliod of such unique prowess. I have not met a Feyborn who seeks the light, especially one born in flame. He sort of, let me tell you this, and he asks you for your hand, your palm.
Okay, I'll give it my palm.
He sort of takes it and he sort of grabs it in one hand and puts his other hand over top of it. And again, you kind of get this sense, with that perception save, I'm fine with that. You get this sense of more magic occurring. And you feel a slight warming on your palm. He releases it. You look down at your palm and you notice that once where there was just sort of your bare palm, now there is a slight indentation of the symbol that he wears on his chest. Let all who see you here know that you are under the protection of the Radiant Flame, oh honored friend. And he bows a little bit, once again stepping aside and motioning to the gangplank. Welcome to Miletus. May your flame warm this place and not burn it. What do?
I'll just nod back. Kind of, and then, I guess, turn away and walk and look at my hand, kind of being confused as to what he just did.
Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely a mark in your palm right now. It matches the. Give me an Arcana check. Whew. Yeah, you kind of get a sense with that Arcana check that he has like imprinted a sigil onto your hand. And with that 19, I'll give it a probably with multiple purposes, right? One, to sort of tell all those that wear the cloak of the Radiant Flame that you are under their protection and should sort of look to assist you if needed. But also, it kind of acts, and you get a sense that there's a connection there that might be divination in nature. There might be something as it relates to scrying that could be done through such a connection. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So you step off onto the dock. Give me a perception check.
Let's go.
Yeah, you look back at the crew. Siona is kind of just like making her way through stuff. She kind of looks at you and goes, "Don't venture far, boy. I'll be there when we conclude business. Wait for me." But you also notice Verdos walks over to another sort of skinny, gaunt-looking man who is dressed in robes, and he was sort of the one carrying all of the paperwork and scrolls. You see him have a brief sort of conversation with him before motioning to a bronze construct in the shape of an owl that sort of launches off this man's shoulder and flies towards the center of Miletus. At this time, almost exactly, you hear 12 ringing bells from the city. Ding dong, ding dong, sort of delineating a time potentially.
Okay.
Yeah, And at that moment, we're going to jump to Belren.
Alright, I'll be right back.
Awesome.
Speaking of
Belren,
health,
exactly. As the sun sort of arcs higher over top of you, as you make your way out of the Civic Engineers Hall, Telman accompanying you goes, "Oh shit, Belren, hold on. If we're going down to do a structural assessment, we probably should bring our tools." And he sort of rushes back inside. You wait there for what feels like kind of too long for someone to have gone inside to know exactly where their stuff was, grab their tools, and make their way back out. But he comes out with his sort of bag of stuff, including, his measuring devices, his probably meter stick that one end is charred black from whatever purpose, as well as a couple of scrolls and the like in a bag. I took the liberty of grabbing your hammer. You never know when you're going to need this. And sort of hands you your, standard issue hammer that you've been given/used in the pursuit of this for the past however long you've been working for the Civic Engineers Hall. Yeah, Telemann looks at you and says, "Well, we should kind of get, the going's good, huh? Make our way down there?"
Let's move.
Awesome. So as you guys depart, the sun sort of arcs higher over top of you. You're making your way sort of through the upper part of the city. You hear clattering of sandals on marble. You feel you see sort of the brass instruments and etched columns of the temple district where you work gleaming around you as you proceed past numerous folk kind of just making their way in life. You head out into the main streets, basically like a living artery for the city. You hear vendors sort of shouting over the clamoring of carts rolling by. Children weave their way through alleys and past you. The odd time you think to check your bags and pockets to make sure no one's bumped into you and taken something that was not theirs.
This is where all the culture is in the city. Just gotta go with the flow.
Yeah, you find yourself sort of being enveloped by it. You see and take pride in several banners of Amphara fluttering proudly as you walk past some buildings downtown or in the main street. You smell the scent of fresh bread and ash. You smell frankincense, citrus, and honestly, this faint sting of something burnt. Maybe someone has left the bread in the oven a little too long. Again,
I'm not having a stroke, right?
no, that smells. Someone has been a little overzealous with their time in the oven. Tell me
again.
You make your way down again further into the city. It's a fair piece of distance to go from the Civic Engineers Hall down to sort of the eastern side of the lower city. It's quite the journey, but Telemann, in Telemann fashion, seems to know several shortcuts to get there. I swear, Belran, I took this way so many times before. It's going to cut off so much time, I promise. But nevertheless, you do end up lost a couple times before finding your way back to the main streets. You now may be thinking wiser of trusting the shortcuts that Telemann offers. You find yourself passing beneath the shadow of the Harmonium Arc, which basically is a huge wall that is comprised of hundreds of murals and reliefs of Kaenos and Tiro, in all their different battles and stuff, and basically recounts the time and wars that were fought to establish the Miletus that you know it to be today. As you make your way down, lower and lower, you kind of leave the higher end, richer neighborhoods, or the more affluent members of society call home. You kind of get a sense of tension in the mid city, though. You kind of see less people frolicking about or making their way through town. You kind of see folk on the sides of the streets whispering. Give me a perception save.
Let me find it in this thing. Perception. Oh, gee. Oh, jeez.
That's the
Oh,
good stuff.
no.
Oh boy. Oh.
That's fine.
Yeah, you kind of just look around, and on that perception, you're sort of lost in thought about the schematic that was delivered to you and why today of all days it came to you, and who or what had potentially made adjustments to the bottom of that page, and whether the symbol you saw there was placed there intentionally or was just there by happenstance. But you're
Yeah.
kind of lost in thought as you sort of make your way through the mid city. As you continue, you notice as you pass by, the buildings start to like become less and less maintained, right? You've well and truly entered the lower middle class of the city. Um, the murals and paintings that adorned the beautiful streets, that smelled so sweetly of incense and myrrh, are now replaced with like sort of the smell of salt and smoke and ash. People's houses, burning to keep warm. You see some murals down here, specifically those of Thassa. And in certain spots, they've sort of been painted over or replaced with what appears to be hastily prepared glyphs of the radiant flame. You see that you see an eyeball with fire kind of coming out of it in and over top of murals that once depicted Thassa, the goddess of the ocean. As you begin to walk, you hear ironclad boots stomping on marble, and you're passed by a procession of red-cloaked inquisitors as they march the opposite way. Gold-threaded standards high above their heads. And you do take note that their presence there makes people uneasy. People tend to turn away or cross to the other side of the street when they notice this procession heading their way. In front of you looms the Silver Span Gate, which you know to be like the edge of middle city, which kind of leads out into the more rural and lower class area where it's basically fend for yourself. Several guards at this gate, they sort of wave you through. You walk along into streets that are a little less well maintained. Cobblestones in this area are cracked or missing completely. There's refuse and garbage in this area on the streets. People are a little less well dressed, but it's quieter here. That hustle and bustle of Meletus sort of begins to dull in your mind. You don't hear the cavalcade or of carts or the cacophony of vendors yelling about prices and whatnot. And it almost gets so quiet that it's deafening. And you sort of look up and around, and before too long, that silence is interrupted by a crack of splitting wood. Give me another perception check. All right. Telemann is a little bit ahead of you, like walking. Your stubby little dwarf legs sometimes struggle to keep up to his human legs. And often he'll remark how slowly you walk. Valran, if we're going to get there before nightfall, you got to pick it up.
I'm trying. Unless you can help me move faster, this is as fast as we're going.
I mean, do you want me to carry you?
I would not trust you. I've seen you work before, and I would hate to see you pick me up.
Well, listen, I think it would be unbefitting of a man of your stature to be carried around by the likes of me anyways. And as you sort of have that conversation, you hear another, like a chop of wood or like a crack or split of wood. You see Telemann sort of puts his hand over his eyes to kind of like look off into the distance and goes, ugh, not another shrine. As he says that, you guys... Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, what are they taking down now?
Well, if I remember correctly, there was an old wayside altar here dedicated to Thassa. We should probably check it out. Do you have any problem with that?
No.
You guys make your way a little further on, and you come to what appears to be a group of Radiant Flame Enforcers, ironclad in red trimmed bronze. You see large axes and hammers, hard at work. There's almost like an efficiency in their cruelty as they scrape and break and tear down the symbols from the walls. You see one of the soldiers lifts what Telemann describes to you as an offering, a bowl of offering made of like a conch shell, a very, very large and old conch shell. You see him lift it over his head and smash it on the steps to the a gasp of many people around that have sort of come to the area to observe the ongoings. You see another Inquisitor sort of hoists a bundle of broken icons into a burlap sack marked with that same eye and a flame, while others around him begin to draw crudely their symbol, that flaming eye, over top of clearly depicted images of Thassa. One goes as far as to break away the chiseled face of the deity and paint on the eye with flame. As you kind of approach, Telemann remarks, I know this place. This was that old tide warning post. Fishermen in this area, I think, still made offerings here before casting off. Something to do with keeping the waves calm or the currents clean? Dalren, this is awful.
It is, but it's not my decision to make. I am but one person in this city.
Yeah. You ever wonder, like, what happens when they run out of shrines? What are they going to do
I
next?
hope we don't get to that point, and we can find a solution before we get there.
As you say that, you notice nearby there's like people that have begun to gather. You notice like a merchant couple sort of watches silently. One, the lady, sort of wringing her hands above her head and sort of shaking it before pulling away a young child that was observing. As the boy sort of is pulled away, you hear him calling, "What did Thassa do wrong?" At that, one of the enforcers turns slowly. She stopped listening. Or perhaps, kid, she never did. You notice another enforcer tosses like a charred wooden idol of Karametra onto a cart filled with other confiscated relics. You do note that the roots themselves sort of are curling around the base, have been half scorched, almost like burned away. Telemann sort of looks down at you and whispers, "You ever think it's not just the heretics they're after?"
To be honest, I don't know, but it looks like will be coming after everyone. All it takes is for them to point the finger and say we don't like this person, and next thing you know, it's you.
Yeah, it's been getting worse. I understand that like some of these beliefs could be observed as heretical, but Thassa and Karametra, they've been here since the Nyx was born. Something's happening, Belren. Can't say what, but I don't think this is going to end well for the people of Miletus.
Do I know anything about his background, regards to like worship or his? Yeah. Does he say anything like during our years of working together?
Let me see. Give me like an insight check.
Oh yeah, that we're cooking with.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I took all the good rolls.
Telemann is a bit of a oddity in that like he doesn't explicitly follow the beliefs of one particular god, though he's never really conveyed his belief system to you. You get a sense that things that are important to him are freedom and choice and justice, right? And good of the people kind of sense, democracy. Just based on how you've seen him interact at work, freedom is probably his biggest calling.
Or at least that's what you think with an 8.
Or that's what you think with an 8. As you sort of do that, another enforcer, another group of enforcers, including the ones that were kind of beating up the shrine or whatever, they begin to sort of gather up their stuff and move on. You note that their boots begin to crunch all over the broken bits of marble. And somewhere in the distance, you hear several bells ring in the city. Ding, 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 ding. Give me, yes, 12 bells. Give me a perception check on that number of bells.
Oh.
All right. Ryan is like murdering the rolls tonight, and Josh is very mid. So,
Wow.
Yeah, they don't really
see how it
sound
is.
off to you, right? You just know them to be signifying the midday prayer in the city. Okay. Um, how do you feel in this moment watching them sort of tear down the shrines of gods that have been established here for a long period of time?
I feel angered because it's also out of the sight of like the majority of the people, because
Right.
it's in the lower sort of, I guess you said middle income,
Mhm.
but I just know it's a area that's not frequently visited or not given much thought because it's run down and
Okay.
filled with
Yeah.
the riffraff of the city. So it makes me upset because nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody understands.
So
Nobody gets it.
as they kind of make their way, the soldiers of the Radiant Flame, the enforcers, they begin heading back towards the Silver Span Gate. But you and Telemann know that your journey takes you further, right? It's still quite a ways. It's still probably an hour or two from the location that you need to reach. So Telemann sort of gives a big sigh and goes, "Well, shall we?" And you guys head out, walking along the path down towards the eastern side of the wharf. And sort of as you walk away, in that quiet fury that envelops you at watching the destruction and desiccation of something once a holy place that brought, um, hope and power to the downtrodden. You smell the burning scent of salt and ash behind you from the desecrated shrine. And once again, the hustle and bustle and noise of the city begins to fade beneath the sound of your own steps on stone. And as you progress, your footsteps begin to be the only thing that you can hear. You stop, and as you do so, everything stops around you. You see Telemann mid stride, walking, his arms held in time in the middle of his stride. The air around you that you breathe turns almost to glass as you turn to observe what's going on. The city itself, the people around you, even Telemann himself, begins to blur. And it's replaced with
Counterspell.
Oh, do you know Counterspell?
Oh, fuck no.
A level 1.
I don't know. Maybe it's in his backstory. Uh, the city around you sort of begins to blur into golden threads, and you're enveloped by an unraveling tapestry. You notice that it depicts what you can only believe to be Meletus. And you sort of notice that the edges of this tapestry are beginning to fray and come apart thread by thread.
Oh.
You stand alone in this void of light and silence. And as you observe into the darkness, you see a titanic white mask made of marble rise in front of you. It is something you've seen before. You know this to be Amphara's face. However, in the times where you reached out or felt her presence that that stalwart, hardy, fortuitous presence. That's not here. It feels almost cracked in a way. You see the once perfectly sculpted face of Amphara gives way to cracks and spider webbing of bronze that begins to leak out and down the marble face.
Oh.
You see and hear the mask speaks to you in your mind and says the following words: Justice falters where truth is broken. And as you hear that in your mind, the mask begins to weep molten gold. And strangely, underneath it, you see a tablet that begins to kind of pulse. It pulsates, vibrating. You can see it moving, well, whatever's in this void in time and space. The tablet itself shatters into 3 jagged pieces before drifting apart in the air. Below all of them, you do see the silhouette of a kneeling shadow. The shadow is chained, in bondage, one around its neck, one around its right and left hands that are attached endlessly with chains so that it may not move. You also notice a crown sits upon the head of this shadow silhouette, made of broken antlers. At this, is there anything you want to do at this?
So the tapestry, is it still there?
Yeah, it sort of is enveloping around you, kind of creating a sense of space. You feel
And
as though you're incorporated by it, like enveloped by it.
Okay. And you said it's of Miletus, or what I perceive to be Miletus.
Yeah, it's a
If-
marbled city in gold.
Okay. No, I don't really have anything else to do. Like, if I call out, does anybody answer?
What do you say?
Um, how do I fix this?
As you say that, you feel the very earth beneath you in this space shudder and split apart. And you notice that as you stand on this precipice or edge, this shadowed figure that's been chained begins to descend as the pieces of the broken tablet raise and begin to pulsate, kind of shifting in time and space their geometry until they are drawn together into one complete tablet before falling away into the shadow. As that happens, you get the sense and the feeling of smoke and flame. You look around at the tapestry, and it begins ever so slightly in the bottom to glitter with reddish orange light before it grows and grows. Before long, it's a raging inferno that is encompassing and burning to the ground all of the tapestry that stands before you. The visage of Amphara still crying gold with cracks and spider webs of bronze where light begins to escape from around it. You begin to choke as the smoke envelops you, fills your nostrils. You begin to suffocate. You begin to cough. You hear at a distance, in a very calm, layered voice, a whisper. One God that forgot the world. The three pieces remember. Will you bind the truth? Or let this world burn? And suddenly, the vision ends. You're back in the street. You hear somebody shouting about bread. Children run past you. Telemann is going on about some injustice done to him by a mutual boss of yours, asking him to work extra hours. What do you do?
Just continue like nothing happened.
Very good. As you do that, give me a perception save. Okay.
We
You
cooking.
don't know why, but you find yourself squeezing and tightening your grip on it as though like you're trying to stretch your fingers. They feel like they hurt for some reason, but you don't know why. And at that, we are going to jump to the back alleys of the upper polis of Miletus. This alley smells of frankincense and citrus. There is the familiar odor of incense and fresh air. All good. Sorry, Nicole came in and was like, thumbs up.
I love the familiar scent of fresh air.
Yeah, right? It's not
That's good
choking
shit.
you with, it's basically just fresh air.
It's good to have
It's
that
mixed
between
with-
all these scents.
Mixed with laundry.
I hate the smell of
Smell of
bread.
laundry.
Burnt bread.
Here's where it's at.
What's Mother Petunia doing over there?
Varen, you've just left the center streets and you found yourself sort of in the
Yeah.
back alleys, looking around. You, at this
Mhm.
point, you do make out the sounds of slapping boots on the stone behind you. It sounds hurried, but not yet coordinated. So you've got some moments. In your possession, you have the noble satchel. It feels supple. It's like a supple leather. Now bounces at your side. Though I will note that it feels unexpectedly heavier than you would have imagined. What do you do?
So these footsteps, do they sound like metal against stone?
They do.
Okay. I recognize that the satchel's heavy, but that's something I'm gonna have to deal with. I don't want if these steps sound like they're hurried and they're coming at me. It sounds like bad news to me. So I am going to reach into my cloak and I'm gonna pull out one of the masks that I still have in my possession.
Yep.
I'm going to put it over my face, raise my hood, and I'm going to roll up my sleeve and I'm going to draw a depiction of a mask on my forearm, similar to what my mother showed me when I was young. And I'm going to start running.
Yeah, you do that. And as you take that mask and you put it over your face, that familiar feeling you've done time and time again when you wish to obscure or obfuscate your person, it feels comforting in a way that no matter who sees you, they won't know you. That sense sort of travels down through your body into your fingertips as you recreate that image of the mask on your forearm. And much like when you were a child, you note that the drawing you made on your mother's arm that began to almost breathe into existence, begin to glimmer and glow. You find it does the same on your skin. And as you do that, your steps become muffled. And you now have advantage on stealth checks for this instance.
All right.
Yeah, so
You like me to roll that?
if you would like, yeah, please. Hmm. Damn. All right. Yeah.
Catch me,
Are
boys.
you kind of like heading out of there? Is that sort of the vibe? Getting away?
Yeah, I can't be caught with what I'm currently carrying. If I even get a sniff that there's guards around or that they might be looking for me, then I can't have that eat.
All right. So yeah, you start to take off. You duck beneath a swaying laundry line. You thread your way through crumbling archways and over promenades. You climb up, jumping off boxes, grabbing. Give me an acrobatics roll too, just to see how awesome you do this. Depending on how you do it, we'll see how epic you do.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I said that's pretty good.
Yeah, you basically full on Assassin's Creed it.
Yeah.
You're running up, doing parkour, jumping, running along the edges of promenades, swinging between, parapets and jumping onto outcropped terraces. You slide down off roofs, do a little acrobatic flip and land kind of in the back alleys and take off, right? In the first few moments, as you do take off, you do hear behind you, "Thief! Thief! I've been robbed!" And at that, a bell begins to ring. Not loud, not urgent, but you know in time that it's going to be. So good thing you kind of take off. The streets of Miletus are a blur as you run. Your breath begins to sort of fog the air around you. But
Get
again,
hot in the mask.
it does, especially when you're like taking off full sprint. You know these alleys kind of almost better than your own pulse in a way. So instincts kind of take over. You vanish through a wrought iron gate and press your back against a wall in a dark spot. The shadows sort of around you, the darkness seems to envelop you in a way, obfuscating you from anybody looking in. In this moment, again, it's one of those things where you've been here before. This doesn't heighten your adrenaline in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your heartbeat is almost as patient and normal as it would be any other time in your life. It's almost imperceptible because you've done this before. But you also know from the time spent doing this that you aren't truly safe until you reach the lower docks. So again, after that moment in the shadow, you take off. You wrap your way through. Anyone who looks at you, basically with a 26 stealth roll, you go wherever you want without being noticed. You know the patterns and patrols of guards up here, so you know the safe routes to get out of here and down to the dock.
Does the opinion of the public of what they think about the masked vigilante or the masked bandit or whatever change the lower I go?
It does, in fact, right? So those who reside in the upper echelon or richer parts, more affluent parts of Miletus, find the actions of this thief to be those of just that. As you begin to descend more and more, it's kind of like a gradient, right? The richer folk of the middle class wouldn't be too fond of items stolen or whatever. But as you get into the lower class, the docks, you know those areas are safe. People don't know who this Gold Masked Bandit is, but he's a champion of the people. His actions are sort of seen as the great equalizer, right?
Right.
Some
That's cool, I
see
like that.
you. Yes, you're a champion of the downtrodden, and um, you've never come across, or like you haven't found yourself in a situation where you've needed to rely on the people of the lower docks, but you do get a sense that in the event that something like that would happen,
Mhm.
they would be more likely to side with the Golden Mask than they would with the oppression of the upper class.
Right. Basically, Spider-Man. People pick me up when I'm
Yeah,
down. Go on a train.
exactly.
I think
You stop a
you're
train,
totally
you put your
Spider-Man.
mask on, they don't tell anyone.
I didn't know we were playing with Spider-Man. That's awesome.
Amazing. So yeah, the city sort of breathes around you, right? Like you make your way through quietly, stealthily, but through the cobblestone streets. Your feet pound against those, but you also know where you're headed. Your body almost acting on its own volition is leading you to a specific place in the lower city. You know where you need to drop this off. Where are you headed?
To the Gilded Lock, my good sir.
That is where you're headed.
Did I get specific instructions from
Vextra?
my job giver?
You did, right? Basically, like, it was a pretty open-ended job. She asked you to tail this person, and at any point when you decided to make the grab, you could stop in at the Gilded Lock. She did ask that, like, don't just bust
Discreetly.
in.
Yeah.
Yes, make your way into the store discreetly. Don't disturb the other customers.
She knows
Have a
how I
business to
operate.
run. Right? She does. She knows, right?
I know how
So
she
yeah,
operates.
you head down to the lower docks. You make your way across or down the slightly populated city streets. It's been a couple hours now since you did your drop, but
No, for your race if you want.
you see an iron rod hanging out of a building adorned with a sign that has a lock and key on it, and you can read the sign that says the Gilded Lock.
Okay. I'm
yeah.
assuming by now I have taken off my mask in a discreet place.
Yeah, up to you. Do you hop into
Yeah.
a side alley and kind of stow?
Yeah, I go into a phone booth
Okay.
and I take off my super suit.
Amazing. Yes, you do that. In fact,
Honey,
and now you're just Varen, right?
Yeah.
The friendly.
I part my hair a slightly different way and good to go.
Put
Yeah,
on
no,
your disguise and-
I noticed the sign and I make my way towards the business.
I will say that like you do have this bag with you, right? This courier's bundle or satchel. Is there any part of you that thinks I should look inside to see what this guy was carrying, or are you going to keep it for the drop?
Did she tell me what she needed me to steal this for?
No. She just said pick up the contents of this guy's drop, right? Whatever's in there is obviously going to be valuable in some capacity. Whatever it is, just bring it.
So is this a job that I was doing? I just have a few questions before I make my decision on if I'm going to check what's inside this bag.
Yeah.
Was this a job that I was doing as a exchange to receive information from her? Is this a job I was doing to, one, it benefits her for receiving whatever she wants out of these documents, but it might also be useful for me to get the information from the documents too?
Fairly indescript. You're doing this as like another day in the life of a talented footpad, right?
Okay.
This is not the first time you've worked with Vextra. So in your mind, this is no different than any other time she's asked you to pick something up, right? You do the odd job for Vextra. She sort of scratches your back, lets you know if there's any valuable targets that might be worth your time and energy. And in return, when she needs a favor or something picked up, you have that agreement, right? You've worked with her in the past. this job should not be considered anything sort of specifically nuanced or whatever.
Okay, if it's not something I was specifically gunning for, I don't think I waste my time by looking at the contents.
Okay.
I think I have a mutual trust with her, I guess.
Mhm. Okay,
As much as a loaded die, I guess.
fair enough.
Reliable, but not completely trustworthy.
Yeah. So, as you approach the Gilded Lock, you can't help but notice that it kind of sticks out in this place in a way that doesn't make sense for the buildings and businesses that surround it, right? Not too far from here, maybe a 30-minute walk or whatever, you would find the Lamplight Refuge where you call home. You know this area to be quite downtrodden, derelict, and devolved, or like of life, of like healthy life, I should say. You're close to the docks. You see all the types of sailors coming in and whatnot, but it just like seems to be oddly affluent for the place it exists.
Right.
Um,
Why would
as
all
you
these
approach,
concede locks?
yeah, right. Who knows? As you approach, you open the door. You push through like a unassuming wooden door that's studded with like brass bolts and latched or whatever. But as you do that, like every time before, the door chimes. And a little like less like a bell and more like the soft ticking of like a timepiece. That's the noise it makes. But
Okay.
loud.
Okay.
As you walk in, the air is warm. It's like scented with oiled brass and smoldering incense that kind of is a unsuccessful attempt to rid the interior of that smell of like kerosene lamp oil and oiled brass.
Right.
You notice that like the shop front itself is sort of cluttered. It's filled with gears, broken locks. There's timepieces on the walls. There's unlabeled drawers about. And as you approach the counter, a small woman is turned away from you, and you kind of hear the tick, tick, tick noises of kind of working on whatever kind of task she might be doing. Before you say anything, she sort of raises a hand and goes, "I'll be right with you." And she goes back to doing her little bzz, 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 the tiny dancing of tools. And as she turns around, she actually like floating in the air is what appears to be like a pocket-sized vault, right? It's got like a locking mechanism or whatever that she's working on and trying to cut a key for. She's sort of looking down at it, and she's got those kind of like spectacles on that jewelers wear, and her eyes kind of look big.
Yeah. Has like
she's
8
sort of-
different sizes of lenses.
She does. And she sort of like ticks one of them across. You see her eyes sort of change in size a little bit as it magnifies and goes in. She's still not looking at you. And she goes, that will do. And she sort of like uses her fingers, and she's kind of controlling the tools themselves, the lockpicking mechanisms, the cutting pieces or whatever are kind of floating in space, and she's almost doing surgery with them by using magic. And she sets the box down, flips up her eyepieces, and you are met with Vextra Dunwald.
Wow.
She looks at you, checks the timepiece on her wrist, which she has multiple of, and goes, "You late." That courier have longer legs than you expected?
Oh, there was a trip up, if you will. Nothing I couldn't handle, though.
Well, I can only assume that if you're here, you were successful.
Yeah, I kind of look down to my side where the bag is and look back at her. Well, this definitely isn't the same one that you gave me a week ago. Here, why don't you take a look?
Ah, gladly. She sort of like rubs her hands together a little bit. She takes the bag from you. Oh, that's a bit heavier than I would have imagined. Must have been carrying something quite valuable. Um,
Well, I hope so. That's how I get paid.
yes. Well, you always did have good instincts, I will say. Must have got those from your mother. As she half smiles.
She taught me a thing or two. Well, business seems to be as booming as usual. He looks around and sees that there's absolutely nobody in the store.
What can I say? I have very special clientele. She sort of smirks and smiles.
That's
She
what I
takes
like about the place.
It's you and me both. I don't do well with talking to folk. I much rather enjoy the work that this business affords me. You never know who needs a key or a set of tools to unlock something. As she winks.
I kind of look at my hand and say, "A set of tools, indeed."
She takes the satchel from you, sort of gives it a once over, and she sort of like you see her. Ah, interesting. She goes, and you kind of see. Actually, give me a perception check.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine. You see like a little bit of glint in her eyes as she begins to mumble a little bit under her breath, and she makes a little bit of like a few hand signs, and you see a bit of magic wash over the latch slash seal of the satchel. Well, I see you didn't go about prying this open. That was a smart choice. Whoever sealed this put an alarm spell on this. Had you gone about doing that, you would have had the whole of the radiant flame breathing down your neck.
Well, maybe I'm just smarter than you think. Or I didn't care to look.
um,
I leave the experts to the things that they're good at, I guess.
as she does that, sort of, she in D&D terms, basically she cast a identify slash dispel magic simultaneously. As she ran her hands over what looked to be just like some etched glyphs on the table. You've seen her do this before. You know that those are sort of a prepared ritual that allows her to cast those magics without expelling spell slots. So as she does that, the satchel sort of like sags a little bit, and it kind of unfurls. Like the patch opens and it kind of exhales a little bit in a way.
Okay.
She opens it up, looks inside, and kind of reaches her hand in, feeling around before picking it up and sort of shaking the contents out onto the table. A couple of rolled parchments fall out, sealed with what appears to be black wax. There is a small coin pouch, which she puts her hand on and sort of grabs and puts to the side. But something else falls out of the satchel itself. Small at first, as it kind of clinks off the table and begins to roll its way across, finding itself on an edge. It's a
Baron
coin.
goes to catch it.
Yeah, you do that. You sort of grab it in your hand, And as you pick it up, it has like this unbelievable sense of weight to it. And this is kind of what you see in your hand. Let me see here. Bibbity bobbity boobity. Swiggity swaggity swoogity. Can everybody see that? If I show to my players.
The
The
mysterious,
mysterious
coin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Ooh, that's
Mysterious.
yeah, you pick that up, right? And it has like an unrealistic heft. Like it's a very small coin, maybe the size of like a toonie, right? But its weight seems like it could like easily be 1 or 2 pounds. Vextra looks at you and goes, "What do you got there, kid?"
Oh, just a copper piece. It's weird
Ah.
that they had that in that locked section there.
Yeah, interesting.
And I smile and I show her the coin. Actually, I'm not sure what this is. Take a
She
look.
sort of, may I? She puts her hand out.
I place the coin in her hand. Be careful.
Yeah, as you do that again, it like weighs down her hand a little bit, and she goes, "Huh.
You ever
I've
seen
never
anything like it?
I've never seen anything like this." She sort of flips it over in her hand. And again, you kind of see as in the image, it kind of catches the light and reflects it in a way that like is strange, right? Almost like forged moonlight in a way. Like it's I don't know what this is. But whatever it is, I don't think it's for spending. And she hands the coin back to you and says, "You better put that somewhere safe. It's not mine."
Maybe it's for passage into one of the fancy taverns or inns or bars nearby, or in the upper echelon of the city. That is where we took it from, of course.
Could be. I don't know. Otherwise, there's not much else in here. It seems as though this parchment will make it into the correct hands, as you know.
So this coin isn't what you were looking for, then, eh?
No, not particularly. I only expected a couple parchments and some coordinates of such. Though it's not mine. I'll tell you that. And I don't know if that courier even knew what he was carrying, by the looks of it.
Well, he was surprised by the weight of the satchel, so.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Were you looking for anything in particular, or was this a job given to you by a by a
she
buyer?
she sort of laughs a bit and goes, "You know better than to ask that, Varen." Knowing that, like,
Oh,
you know that, like, she has some pretty steep ties to the underworld crime family that is like the Stonefoot clan.
right.
She would never admit that, but like
Mm-hmm.
you kind of get a sense that that's who you did this job for. Would have been them, not specifically her. She sort of tasks you with jobs for them because of your skill.
Mm-hmm. And you know that I have interest in anybody who shows interest with the Temple of Heliod, so I'll be keeping an eye on my on the rest of the business that comes in and out of that temple.
Yeah, I imagine you will. She like brings her hands together and goes, "So, payment. I was able to get the things that you requested." As she sort of turns around, you hear her sort of sliding open a drawer. She brings out a sort of a little pack that's been wrapped in velvet, and she unwinds it and puts it on the table in front of you, and you see. You see.
Did Varen ask for?
You asked for this.
Ooh. Toys.
Before you ask,
Fun choice.
yes, the blade is Aetherbane steel. Not cheap. It's actually carved from some old Varaxian family blade, I guess. Seems to be one of a kind. But,
Varaxian. So you said
yeah.
this is Varaxian steel.
Yes, it's Aetherbane steel.
Aetherbane steel.
It's
From the Varaxian family.
some sort of rare alloy that I don't know. I don't know the specifics of it, but I even had them etch that symbol you liked so much into the blade.
Mm-hmm.
For payment such as this, someone must have really needed these documents.
Yes, I think this in the coin will definitely do.
Yes. She sort of gives you, and in D&D terms, you know that this is like a +0 magical dagger that can hit creatures of whatever.
Okay, so it bypasses resistance to
Yes.
like
Aetherbane.
and...
Aether is like the sense of magical power in Theros, like it's what all spells are derived from. So Aetherbane basically just speaks to it being able to bypass resistances.
Cool. I am impressed you got both of these to look decent together.
Right?
On the table with AI.
Right? At first, it was like it came out real shitty, and then with a little bit of doctoring, it got a little bit better. And I was like, you know what?
Nice.
I don't like the symbol itself isn't exactly what I was going for, but it's about as good as it's gonna get, right?
Yeah.
Picture that as like the mirrored bird with a flaming eye that's sort of etched into your
very good
blade.
Memory of my family.
Exactly. You get that black coiled whip. It's like supple with a red lace and red threading. Yeah. So as she sort of passes those over to you, a beat passes, and you hear the city clock tower begin to tick in the distance above you. Yeah. Is there anything else?
No, I think business here is concluded. Unless you have any impenetrable locks to sell me.
Fresh out, I'm afraid. That would be bad for business.
For shame.
Oh, I completely forgot. Before you go, someone came by looking for you the night before last. Didn't give a name. Just
okay.
said they were looking for the son of Coin. Naturally, well, you know our business, so I denied knowing anybody by that name. But they wouldn't leave until I agreed to take this stupid scroll off their hands. Said it was real important that he got it. And she sort of like opens another drawer and pulls out another scroll that has a bit of a reddish black wax sealing it in place, and she hands it to you.
I don't share that name around with just anybody.
Well,
this is strange. And I unroll the scroll. What kind of seal does it have on it?
It has a flaming eye on it.
Okay. Yeah, I trust Vexra enough. We've done a lot of business with each other, so I don't mind unrolling the scroll in front of her.
Yeah.
Seems urgent.
Well, what is it? It's what was so damn important that they got this to you? And you open this map. Do 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 do. Yeah, on the inside, you kind of see what appears to be some, again, glyphs not too dissimilar to the ones you noted on the journal piece or mysterious thing that your mother left you.
Yeah, in the top right corner there.
Correct. And the written piece at the bottom sort of delineates in a rhyme pointing to a building down at the docks on the east side of Miletus.
Okay.
You don't know where or what that is. It doesn't strike you as something.
Can I
that you-
read the rhyme? Like, did you have something prepped for that?
I do not
Okay.
have something.
And I don't recognize the building it's depicting in the map there.
You do not know.
Okay. I'm going to say it's a map. It's a map of some kind with a riddle. Do you recognize this location? And I show her. I think you probably know this lower area better than myself.
She takes it and for a second. She studies it. She's like, "What's this bit up here in the corner? These random symbols. Do you know what that means?"
I wish I did.
Huh. Well, so she sort of reads the bottom, the riddle or whatever, and she goes, "I think I know that place. That's the old Gilded Vale Tavern. Yeah, that used to be quite the joint. Long since burned down, about 10 years back now.
Why would somebody give me a scroll to a burnt down tavern?
I don't know. It's pretty strange, but I never did find the bastard who did it. I like that place. They served quite a strong ale."
I think Varen makes the connection of a MO of burning buildings down. Maybe it could be the Temple of Heliod and their footmen again.
It's possible.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. There was whispers back in the day that place was used by people as some sort of like, and don't get me wrong, I didn't believe them, but some sort of like clandestine fate place. I don't know. I only ever went there for the ale, but if rumors are to be believed, it was more than what people made it out to be. She sort of reads you the rhyme itself. Where silver tongues once whispered flame, past Echo's gate the shadow's name. Follow the lane where lanterns do die, and seek the mark neath crescent sky. Ash hides the veil that gold once graced, where broken oaths are now interlaced. And I will post that in the chat for them.
Well, that's above my head, but I better go check it out anyways. If I don't come back, if you don't hear from me, consider me dead. Pleasure doing business.
Will do.
Thanks for looking out for me all these years.
And be careful.
I'll try.
She's sort of like, "Oh, and don't forget this," and she like tosses you a couple silver coins. Let's say 5.
Hey, I saw a whole bag come out of that.
Well, finder's fee and all.
Well, something to remember me by, I guess.
Indeed.
And I go to leave.
Yeah, you do that. As you leave, you notice that several bells ring out deep in the heart of Miletus. 12 of them, to be in fact. I gotta rock.
They have that same amount of bells 3 times in a row.
Yeah, weird, huh? Bells all the time. BRB.
Yep.
Ooh, got a fancy coin. Aren't you fancy?
Got a fancy coin. Got a fancy dagger.
Josh has a fancy friend.
Yeah.
You're a lazy friend. Won't even carry him, dude.
I got a weird mark on my hand now.
And an amulet. I think it's almost time.
Are we gonna fight? No, I'm just kidding.
I think we're gonna touch fingers soon.
Yeah, I'm good. Okay, where was I?
Bells.
Don't defile my beautiful Vexra. That took me 12 seconds to make. Yeah.
Definitely a different vibe than I pictured her. I like this version of her. Much more
She's just-
approachable.
Yeah, that's the point. She's supposed to be like a little bit of a comely old dwarven woman, unsuspecting is the is the key. We jump back now as you sort of make your way out of the store. The bell's ringing above. A Aetherbane dagger in a sheath at your hip, a curled black and red whip.
To
on
add
the
that
other
in.
side. Yeah, feel free to go and like make that in D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
And just like add that. Is it your plan to kind of just head straight for the location on the map, or do you have any other things to do?
Yeah, I made some promises earlier today about buying flour and showing a coin trick, but I think priorities may lie with.
You can do that. We'll say that you do that prior to heading out, right? Just in case.
It'll be quick. It'll be quick.
Yeah, all good. Just in the sense that, oh man, I probably should get this out of the way, just in case what I said to Vexra wasn't 100% a lie, and I do die, right? I don't want them to starve to death, and I want my coin trick to be passed on. We jump back now to Belran.
What?
Josh, you still with us?
I'm here.
Nice. Okay, so as you continue along, you still feel that sensation in your hands. They're almost like numb in a sense after you were visited by the visage of Amphara. As you and Telemann begin to continue on your journey, passing more and more down into the lower end of the city, you make your way through the Gate of Distant Winds, which kind of like is the eastern exit to the city, right? You've now well and truly hit the perimeter of the city and are now sort of heading out along a half-forgotten coastal road as the afternoon sun sort of blazes above your head. You once again notice that the air shifts, it becomes quiet, dry, and laden. Give me a perception check.
Another one.
Yes, sir.
We got this. We got this. We don't got this.
We got this.
We don't got.
Telemann kind of looks at you and goes, do you, all right, do you smell that? And you say, no, I don't, because your perception is a 4. That smells like ash. Oh, God, he goes. As you keep walking down the coastal road, you progress past Olive Groves, right? The city is largely known for the growth of olives and olive oils in the vineyards that dot the landscape around the city proper. Those quickly begin to give way to scrubland, that is to say, like derelict with trees. The wind sort of whips off the ocean and pushes them into strange positions and shapes. You see wind-worn columns and the carcasses of ruined buildings that are just like too stubborn to fall. As you make your way through and down and out of the city proper, you're surrounded by some burnt out husks of derelict buildings. And as you pass them, you proceed into kind of a hollow between two low ridges. You see more scorched stone, melted roof tiles from buildings that have long since been abandoned or destroyed and might now be used by vagabonds or bandits of the like. You're well and truly kind of out into a part of the world or part of Miletus that you wouldn't find to be reputable or safe. The road narrows. It's partially overgrown by foliage and partially collapsed. You note the stones at your feet, the road you're on. It is potted and the cracks. There's cracks forming on the stones and large channels between these once cobblestone streets are now cut and have been cut by rushing water, likely as it would happen with heavy downpours of rain, and it's just never been fixed since. You and Telemann sort of hit a sharp bend in the path. And in front of you, you notice a group of people standing. And the first thing your eye catches is a red standard that appears to be blowing in the wind. You see a group of what you know to be Radiant Flame Inquisitors. And this, sir, is what you see. Yes. These Inquisitors, you note that they are quite a distance from the polished marble of the temples that they would usually be in. This is not somewhere you expected them to be, but they appear to be sort of standing guard with a weather-worn brass idol of the Flaming Eye affixed to a blackened tree near them. You see what appears to be a couple of enforcers, as you see depicted in front of you, spears in hand, guarding the pathway forward. Telemann sort of like looks at you, looks at them, sort of wipes the sweat from his brow and says, "Nothing like another city-funded hike into the armpit of the gods." Is that sulfur I smell, or are those just the Inquisitors again? As you approach, the lead Inquisitor, a tall woman, you note, with a shaved head and a soot-smeared armor, she raises a hand and goes, "Halt! This ruin is quarantined under the decree of the Radiant Flame. State your business here." She looks at you.
We're passing through. We're doing some surveys here for the civil engineering hall.
She sort of looks up and down at you, kind of looks at the attire you're wearing, kind of gives like a curt nod to you, but then you see her do the same thing to Telemann, and kind of like her confidence, you can kind of perceive that's a little shaken based on the way he looks. "Well, do you have any documentation or paperwork, gentlemen, that would back up this claim?"
These documents are need-to-know basis.
Give me a... What would you like? Were you trying to intimidate her, or are you trying to persuade? Give me
Persuade, for sure. It's because I have a +4. We need it.
Ooh. She goes, well, that's all well and good. I didn't realize that the Civic Engineers Hall would have business with a rundown, derelict piece of ruin out here. Um, it's it's getting late, gentlemen. It's kind of curious timing. Most people avoid this place after dark. Is there some reason that you've chosen now to come out here?
From our hall, it takes a while to get down to this part of the city. It's just a long day, is all. Few and far between.
Do you know anything about this place you're going? Have you heard the rumors?
No, I have not.
Well, she looks at you and in a cold tone, she goes, "Just so you know, the sunlight doesn't reach every shadow in this place. It's said that the heretics built here, and they built deep. Some say that there's still fires that burn under the earth here." As she says that, you note two sort of, you would consider them junior acolytes. You get that sense because of the way they hold themselves. They've got their hoods drawn up. They sort of shift uncomfortably. You kind of notice that they glance around, looking at the birds. Specifically, an unusual number of crows that are perched on the ridgeline, almost observing the ongoings in a way that might be, it just like doesn't seem natural to you. As you notice that, and Telemann notices that, he goes, "Baron, do you see that ridge there? That wasn't here last cycle. Something collapsed inward. Fantastic. Great. We're going to be eaten by the architecture." He looks at you and says, "Well, no time like the present. Should we be on our way?"
Yes, let's keep moving.
You notice that Kaldra, the Inquisitor leader of this group, she puts her hand on the pommel of her sword and goes, "Gentlemen, before you go, you have been granted entrance to this place, know that, but should you find anything of unknown origin, you are to report it, not record it. Is that understood?"
We understand.
"Very well. Be on your way." As you pass the checkpoint, the ruins begin to loom before you. There's some blackened walls, partially collapsed arches, and a shattered statue at the courtyard. Yeah. We now make a quick jump over to Thalendor. Ryan, ready?
Yippers.
So as you step off the gangplank onto solid ground for the first time in 2 days, tell me what you're thinking.
I feel like my legs are a little wobbly. Just gotta regroup myself. But I'm just kind of mesmerized and with this place and everything that I see. I'm gonna kind of walk forward a bit. I'm gonna turn around and wait and see if I can see the captain coming down, since she said that she would help. It kind of introduced me to Vosk.
Yeah, great. So as you do that, you kind of find a place to hop up on a couple stacked boxes or whatever, and the thick scent of salt and wood baked in the sun kind of assaults your nostrils like you're at a harbor, right? And you look around, kind of taking in the sights. The harbor itself sort of sprawls before you. It's a vast living tapestry of marble piers,
I like tapestry.
flapping canvases. Tapestry, yeah. You hear shouting voices, people onloading and offloading goods from their vessels. You note several ships sort of bobbing gently on their moorings. You notice several sails that are sort of stitched with foreign glyphs. Some that are like you recognize maybe from the time that you spent in acros staring down at the docks or whatever. But others that are completely foreign to you that you have no idea where they'd be from. You notice crews kind of taking off crates of olives, containers of raw bronze, and other stranger goods stills. That would include, like, you know, silks and other like spices and incense and raw materials that who knows where they're headed, but have been delivered to this port. To your left, you notice a plume of gulls kind of swirling above a fishmonger's stall, and somewhere behind that, you hear the low whistle of a dockhand singing sea shanties as he walks his way down the promenade at the harbor. You look out kind of into the Bay of Miletus, and you notice the bronze statues of Kaianos and Tiro, weathered by the sea salt spray, but still regal and standing, sentinel and ever vigilant in their positions at the stone dock, guarding the entrance to the city proper. You begin to look around, and you also catch the glances of some Radiant Flame Inquisitors as they inspect crates with religious symbols, hastily scratched off. You kind of notice that they've determined that these boxes were illegal and have taken them into their custody. Their crimson cloaks stir the wind. Their gold threads insignias begin to flash in the sun. As you wait there, is there anything else you'd like to do?
No, I'm just gonna keep looking. Just look at the people around, see what they're kind of doing, and just take things in. It's all new to me.
Okay. To your right, you notice a narrow street which leads from the main thoroughfare to some sea-worn buildings and of evidence of like water damage and swollen wood as tides comes in and storms hit the dock. These buildings have obviously been taken down. Give me a perception save. Actually, investigation. Oh, good. Yeah, you make out some like signs or whatever, but none of them sort of stick out. Yes, please, thank you. None of them really stick out to you as being more than just like riffraff, right? There appears to be like a fishmonger's shop selling fresh caught stuff from the day. There's people like harking their goods. There's beggars and whatnot. As you do that, once again, you hear the familiar voice of Captain Siona come up, and she says, "Oh, those red cloak bastards. I can't believe Veridos is down here. I haven't seen him at the harbor once since I started running goods into Miletus. It's going to take forever for us to..." Are you okay, lad?
Yeah, I mean, everything's good on my end. Hope everything was good okay with you. You didn't have any thing illegal or anything you weren't supposed to have with you, did you?
Best not to implicate you in anything, but wouldn't even matter if I did. As you can see, and she sort of like points over her shoulders, you observe a couple red cloaked individuals picking up a crate and just tossing it into the water. It sinks with a glug 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 down to the bottom of the bay. I saw him speaking to you, and he grabbed your palm, I think. What did he say or do?
Let's make not really sure. I looked down at my hand. Is the mark still there, or is it like was it something that was like there for a bit? Now it's kind of like faded away.
It's still there. Are you showing it to her or not?
Well, I was gonna look at it and see if it was like now. When I look at it, can I tell if there's anything like I don't know mystical about it? Like, would it be something that only like certain people would be able to see? Is there any way you can tell that? Like, is it like really like a magic aura kind of thing that I might think a normal person wouldn't see it?
Arcana check or an Arcana check. You can't be certain. You know that you can see it, but you haven't tried it on anybody else. Right?
Okay.
Like you don't know if people around you could see it if you showed it to them.
Well, I mean, this person knew Delmos. I trusted Delmos, so yeah, I'll kind of show her my hand and see if she can see anything there.
Also, don't be afraid to ask for like insight checks. That goes for everybody. Like, if you want to know the intentions of somebody, you can try to roll an insight check to find out whether or not you can
Mhm.
tell if they're like lying or being deceitful
Yeah.
or
Noted.
right. Note that. Give me an insight check.
Ooh.
You know, that is low, but to be honest, Siona really doesn't have much to hide with you. She's doing this kind of as a favor to Delmos, who you've come to realize she was quite close with. So you don't get a sense, honestly, one way or the other, you can't really tell. But there's no part of you that believes that she has any sort of
Yeah.
ulterior motives.
Good. So I'll show her my hand. Does she say anything?
So she takes it, looks at it, and sort of like touches the inside of your palm, and she can see it, right? Like, that's the eye of the radiant flame. That's he gave that to you?
Yeah,
Who are you?
I'm Thalandor.
She sort of laughs a little bit. Well,
I'll kind of ask
I've only
before.
ever sorry, go ahead.
I'm just gonna ask, like, what's the like significance to this? Like, he kind of explained some things to me, but I don't really understand.
Well, I've only ever seen this mark on people that are part of the Church of Heliod, like part of the Radiant Flame. It's peculiar that he would bestow it onto a stranger. I don't know any more than that. A friend of mine, well, not so much anymore, but they granted him this when he joined the Radiant Flame, and from what I know about it, it's some sort of mark that um, acts as notification or protection. I don't know. Anyways, you were here to see someone, right? Was that?
Yeah, I need
Yes.
Vosk. Is there supposed to be
Vox,
with him?
right. Dockline, Skillet, and Tavern. Do you want to go there now? I could really use a drink after what just happened.
Sounds good to me.
Great. Let's be on our way. So yeah, she sort of like sherpas you down the dock past people doing their dock things. You head down that sort of narrow side street that leads off the main thoroughfare past the buildings that have slight water damage and residue of salt that's sort of dried onto the exterior in a crusty kind of film. As you progress, you're sort of suddenly hit by the scent of grilled onions and cooked fish. It's just over here, just over here. As you make your way down the street, you look up and you see a sign that's kind of barely holding on. It's got an iron rod that sticks out, juts out from the wall. It holds like a wooden placard that's attached at 2 points with a chain, but one of the chains is sort of broken away, so the sign itself sort of swings freely, and it reads Dockline, Skillet, and Tavern. Yeah, well, here we are, lad. Do you know this Vosk?
I personally don't, but Delmos told me that he owed him a favor and that I should be coming here to and talk to Vosk as soon as I arrived.
Well, you're in for quite the treat. As she sort of walks you into the building. As you step inside, give me a investigation check.
Josh is rolling off, rubbing off on me.
Yeah, you sort of walk in there, and it's kind of just like a hustle bustle of here. Let me see. Sorry. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, so like as you walk in, you sort of sense and you see a crackling hearth in the center of the room. You hear in the corner some clinks of mugs and sharp laughter from several tables that are quickly filled up with sailors. You see people sort of push past you from the backside, walk in. They don't wait to sort of find a seat. They just pull up a chair at any old table and begin chatting away. You notice at the back there's a bit of a smoke that's rising from what appears to be some open iron gates where the fish is sizzling. At the back, near a window that sort of overlooks the wharf, you see this. Oops, did I go? I did. Yeah, you see a sort of dark-skinned minotaur. Um, he's got his boots sort of up on the window ledge. He's got a red oil-skinned apron. He's wearing sort of like a white top that's kind of cut off at the shoulders. And he's kind of got his hands back behind his head. You notice that he is a minotaur. Um, and as you and Captain Siona approach, he brings his feet down, sort of grunts. What is it now, Siona? She looks at him, looks at the boy, or at you, and says, um, Vosk, I'm very sorry to barge in here, but this is Thalandor. You might know him as Delmos's apprentice, and his sort of eyes go a little wide as he passes his gaze from Siona to you, and then back to Siona. And with like a wordless glance, he sort of like dismisses her. And as he does that, she sort of looks down and walks away towards the bar. He sits back down, looks at you, gestures to the booth without waiting for your response, and goes, I know that look, boy. You looking for trouble, or are you running from it?
Honestly, not too sure. The last thing Delmos really told me was to come to Miletus and find you. So here I am.
Well, you found me. Can't.
Good for trouble it is.
Yeah, I don't know what that old anvil would want from me, but you've traveled a long way, so, well, you might as well sit. And do you sit at the table?
Yeah, sure, why not?
You sit at the table. It's what? 2 days by ship from Akros to here?
Yeah, about that.
And those rations that they serve probably aren't great. As he says that, he goes, Oi, Brina! Bring my friend here some stew. You look over and you see like a very slender woman, kind of has an apron on, hair tied up, gold earrings, comes out with a bowl of stew and puts it down in front of you. And she goes, anything for you, Vosk? Vosk goes, yeah, I have a feeling this conversation is going to need a couple drinks. And she goes, okay, right away. And your friend, sorry, your name?
Falindor.
Thalendor, do you want anything to drink with that, or is the stew enough?
Stew's fine for now. Thank you.
Okay, just one drink for the boss. Gotcha. And she sort of like heads back to the kitchen to sort of prepare her drink. Vosk looks at you and goes, so Dalmos, eh? Sent you to Miletus to find me, but he didn't say why.
He did also mention another name. Started with an M. Merle. Merle. Mile. Can't remember. Is anyone with the name similar to that around here that you could think of?
He sort of like puts his hands on the table and he's kind of deep in thought a little bit. I don't know anybody by that name anymore. I had a friend once. Her name was Mara, but she's long gone. Almost knew her too. Is that what he mentioned?
Was that the name? I honestly can't remember.
Yes.
Okay. Mara. Yeah, that sounds like it. Yes, I believe that was it. Yeah.
Sorry to tell you, lad, but Mara and her husband, they died some 10 years back. Freak accident. House burst into flames. It's a tragedy, really. She was great. She was kind. Strange, though. Delmos and I would often meet her down, her and her husband Leto. We would meet them down at the old Gilded Vale Tavern on the eastern side of the city. It's long gone too. Strangely enough, it burned down that same night. BRB, guys. Was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just want to know if you want chicken bites and a coleslaw I make on a taco.
I'll have chicken
or a
bites.
cinema.
Yeah, we hate that.
Whatever. There's literally no right answer. If you're, yeah, you can make whatever you want for me, and I will eat it. Thank you.
Man, life is hard.
Right, dude. Jesus Christ, must be hard.
So yeah, he basically recounts to you a tale 10 years prior where there were several. Pardon me?
15, baby?
15 years ago? Yes, 15 years ago. 15 years ago, where there was a series of buildings that strangely all got hit in one night, burned to the ground. Locals say it was random chance, but I don't believe in coincidences. Yeah, that's all I can really tell you. You have any other leads, or is that it?
Well, that was pretty much it. I mean, he gave me this before I left, and I'll show him the medallion. Told me that something here or someone here might be able to help.
Voss grabs the medallion. He sort of like picks it up, looks at it. scratches his head and he says, "Well, that's strange. That's the symbol of the Gilded Veil that I was talking about, the tavern. Why would that be on your amulet?"
I didn't even know about this amulet until about 2 days ago before I left.
How did you come by this?
Delmos just gave it to me. He said that he found it next to my body when he found me.
You sort of see him snort or whatever, and he looks around and goes, "Well, the only thing I know about this is that symbol right there," and he sort of takes his finger and points at the amulet. "That was the symbol of the Gilded Veil. That was the tavern down by the docks. I don't know if that's the best place to go, but it seems to me that's the only lead you got, kid. I wish I knew more,
I mean,
but
that's more than I've gotten so far from anybody.
well, I imagine Delos didn't really set you up with accommodations here, did he?"
No, he set me up with the ride here with the captain, and then he said that you might be able to help out.
Well,
Said you owed him a favor.
he would say that, wouldn't he? That old anvil. Well, listen. Best I can do is this. Brina, he snaps. Bring me a map of the city. Yes, boss, coming. She comes out, bringing with her your stew, his drink, and a map. And he sort of like unfurls it on the table and says, "This is where we are, all right? This is the dock line. Way over here on the eastern side of the city. This is the old Gilded Veil Tavern. Straight shot, down past the docks, out through, you'll see a large gate. See this right here? We call that the Gate of the Distant Winds. Head through there, follow the pathway along the coast, and you'll make it to the ruins. But if I were you, I'd be careful. Heard some strange things about that place as of late. And it's certainly not safe to go there after dark." He sort of checks a clock that seems to be hanging. "If you leave soon, you'll probably make it there and back before night falls. And for Delmos, guess you can stay here. I got a couple rooms in the back. It's not anything special. It's not rich. But it's a place to stay. It's warm. It's dry. And it'll keep the cold out. Okay?"
No, thank you.
And he gives you the map, I think. Just take with you.
Okay.
You sort of sit there enjoying your stew. He has his drink. He kind of talks to you about tales and asks what Delmos has been up to before you head out.
Yeah, I'm gonna start heading towards the remains of that tavern.
Okay. As you do that, you kind of start to make your way. You say farewell to Captain Siona. She wishes you luck on your journey, and you head out down the docks, following the map. You get out into the coastal landscape, following the road, past what you believe to be the distant winds gate. The landscape again gives away to, you see strange like bushes that appear to be growing small green fruit on vines that you've never seen before. Those vineyards sort of fall away as you get into more of like a rugged terrain. The road beneath your feet, once cobblestone, now begins to be overgrown. Channels cut deep through the rocky, sandy parts where rain has flowed across the landscape, unimpeded and unfixed. And you make your way to into a hollow between two ridges. You come around a bend, and you are met by several red-clad individuals who stand in the center of the road. You've seen these people before. They were the people that were
Same
on
as
the
the
boat.
boat.
Yes. What do you do as you approach?
I remember that the guy that I talked to that put the weird mark on my hand said that it could be kind of like a useful thing. So I'm just going to kind of walk up and show them that I have that symbol on my hand and see if they bother me or not.
As you walk up, a tall, slender woman with a bald head steps forward and says, "Halt! These ruins are off limits to pedestrians. What are you doing out here?"
And then I'll show her my hand.
You raise your hand. She looks at it and goes, "Oh, I didn't realize you were a member of the Radiant Flame. Is there something? Have you been given orders to go to the ruins, or what brings you down here? I was not told of this."
I'll just say, yes, I've come down just to investigate. I wasn't really told too much. I was said to come down here, and here I am.
Can I ask your name?
Thalandor.
Thalandor. Who sent you? It just appears strange to me that you'd be coming down here at this time, all by your lonesome. It seems to be dangerous.
Well, I can't remember the guy's name that gave me the mark. Veridos.
Do you want to make? Yeah, you can use that. That's fine.
Veridos or Veridos, however you want to pronounce it.
Oh, she sort of stands at attention. The High Inquisitor. Right. Let him pass. And she sort of like stands out of the way and says, "Thalandor, just note there's been some weird reports as of late. It's kind of why we're here, investigating, standing guard. Just be on your toes. And if you don't come back, we will send word to Veridos and come and find you. Okay?"
I'll nod and continue on my way.
Yeah. You make your way towards the ruins. We jump now to Varen, who is just exiting the Lamplight Refuge. You've dropped off your sack of flour, and you've spent way too much time showing Asha the coin trick. She's still not a master of it, but
She's a young prodigy. She'll get it.
she seems to be getting better. Every time you show it to her, she's just like blown away with wonder. Where are you headed?
To this Golden Veil.
Okay. You make your way.
Or Gilded Veil.
Yes, that is.
Or
that
what is left of it, anyways.
Whatever's left of it. Yeah. You make your way from the Lamplight Refuge down the cobblestone streets of the dock and head out towards the Windward Gate. You make good time. You know these streets like the back of your hand. You haven't spent much time out of the city proper. You remember in your youth, your parents would often talk about this place. But those memories have sort of long gone. You don't know much about it.
This tavern in particular?
Yeah. You've heard the words the Gilded Veil before, potentially mentioned by your parents. And talking with Vextra sort of brought back a few of those long dormant memories. As you head out through the Windward Gate, very similarly as described, sort of late in the afternoon, and you make your way along. You're passed by a couple of people making their way into the city, hauling in goods of some sort. Carriages pass, travelers in groups of 3 and 4 making their way into the city after a long day's work in the orchards or in the vineyards.
Do I know that there will be agents of the Heliod Temple in these areas?
No, you do not.
Okay. Okay.
As you progress, you make your way down the cobblestone streets, and you begin to approach. You come around the bend, and you do see a group of red clad individuals. They haven't seen you yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
I take a step back into the alleyway that I just came from.
Okay. Yeah, you sort of step back around the bend, out of their sight. I'm going to give them a small chance. No, you're good. They do not notice you as you kind of step out and step back.
Mm-hmm. I think I need to find a different path there. I can't be dealing with questions about why I'm heading to this spot.
Sure.
Do I know any other paths to this location?
You do not. You kind of look around, and this coastal road at this point kind of like drops down into a hollow that's kind of edged by ledges above you. You could chance kind of climbing your way up there and sneaking around and down, but you don't know any direct paths. At that moment, though, give me a perception save.
Damn.
Damn.
The passive
That's
perception
rough.
is 19.
Okay.
What?
On your passive perception, I'm going to use that
That's pretty
because
good,
you get a sense, you know yourself, right? You know every piece that's on your body because you've had to,
What?
right?
Your own body? That's weird.
And you know when things aren't quite harmonized, right? You had the addition of a dagger and a whip. You feel the weight of those as they sort of change your gait and your step. But there's another part of you that feels slightly heavier. You begin to feel a odd warmth in the pocket where you stowed the coin.
Okay. I reach for it. and
Yeah,
pull it out.
as you do that, you hold it in your hand and you feel it sort of softly vibrate. It's like almost barely perceptible. Um, but as you concentrate on the sort of shimmering pattern on the face of the coin and how it sort of catches the light and reflects it into the air, you kind of step out from behind the bend and you look towards the checkpoint and you kind of see almost like echoes of the soldiers there. How they're almost like where they are going but haven't gone yet.
Okay.
Yeah, you kind of get a sense that you would be able to find the blind spots or almost know the patrols or the spots where the patrols would miss um, at a split second with hesitation during their coordinated routine.
Okay. Yeah, I take a second to understand that that's what's happening, and I kind of piece it together after a few short moments, and then I
Yeah,
feel like I need to act before the moment passes and
yeah.
abuse these chinks in their armor
Mhm.
and get by while I can.
Okay. Give me a stealth check with advantage. Okay. I think that's fair. I think I was going to set it as a DC 15. There's sort of larger gaps in their patrol.
Very
But
handy tool.
mhm, um, as you make your way, you sort of like duck behind this pillar. You hide in the shadow of like the tree that's blocking the light from the setting sun. Um,
Mhm.
you pass a crumbling pillar, and yeah, you make it through the checkpoint without being observed. Let's see. Actually, I'm gonna roll a perception check. See if I beat a 16. I do not.
Guards, man, they got better things to do.
That's right. Your footsteps are silent. You dip, dive, and dodge your way through
Parkour.
uh, the checkpoint and make your way to the burned out hideout of, or the tavern of the Gilded Veil. As you approach, uh, you know that there are people already there. What do you do? There is a man sort of dressed in reddish robes with red hair, talking to what appears to be a dwarf and a human.
Dwarf and a human.
Mhm.
I use my. Well, first I try to not make myself be in the middle of the road or something. Maybe I post up like I have in my display picture against a wall somewhere, and I use my observant skill to read lips.
Great. Josh and Ryan, what would you guys be talking about at this point while you're at the broken down uh, place, right? Josh, you're there to sort of do a structural assessment, and Ryan, you're there for some undisclosed reason.
I mean, I'm gonna do the typical Canadian short conversations, talking about the weather.
Okay. Yeah, you sort of mention to this person that's kind of somehow arrived, who looks kind of similar to
I've
the
arrived.
red cloak you have. Yeah, you guys are sort of just making small talk, I guess, discussing the weather and wondering why you're both there. Telemann sort of looks. I'll actually show you guys what it looks like. Boo, boo, boo. Sorry, I'm running out of energy. I'm getting tired.
Whatever
Ooh,
you
Yeah,
call
we
it, dude.
can call it.
That's okay. I want to get to the cliffhanger. This is kind of what you guys see.
I want to get to the
Okay.
cliffhanger. Okay.
Everybody
Put
shut
it
up, let
there.
Billy talk.
This is what you guys see, right? Surrounding this place is a bit strange. Ryan, give me a perception check.
Easy. Look at this shit, boys.
Amazing.
Oh,
You feel that the amulet around your neck is full on tugging you towards the
Oh.
center of this. It's pulling you here. As that happens, like the closer you walk to this place, the stronger that attraction was, right? As you come up to this place, you find a couple people, right? There's a dwarf there and a human that are kind of just talking about the place. They're mentioning sort of the construction. You hear the human kind of say to the dwarf, "This place is in ruins. Why the hell does 3rd District want to reschedule or reshift this place to anything? I don't understand. Do you see this, Belran?"
I do.
He does.
Again, this is above my pay grade. I just do what is asked.
That's fair. Well, I mean, this place like burnt down like 15 years ago, and obviously somebody's been calling this place home. They like look and Ryan, like you trying to like hide yourself at all, or you're just kind of walking and following your amulet?
Let's kind of walk and follow my amulet.
Yeah, you do that, and you kind of like don't even pay them any mind, and you walk yourself into the center of the ruins, and Telemann goes, "Hey, who are you?" Obviously, at you.
This has piqued Varen's curiosity. Seeing 3 people standing outside this building that he just learned about today at the same time, he begins to walk to it as these guys walk inside.
Yeah, as Ryan sort of like enters the ruin itself, Telemann sort of like calls out and gets no response and begins to follow Falindor into the ruin. What does Belran do?
Dun, dun, he's going in.
Okay, so Belran follows Telemann into the ruin. He goes, "Hey, excuse me, this place is supposed to be off limits. What are you doing here?"
Seeing as the last person that stopped me was Grisham, I'm just gonna show him my hand. It seemed to work the last time.
Damn. Speak to the hand, baby.
Do you say anything?
I'll just be like, I was
You
told.
didn't put your hand up in his face.
Don't say anything. Walk away.
In fact, kind of what I was thinking. Like the last time someone tried to stop me, Grisham made it so that my hand didn't work. So I think it's gonna work again.
Showed them backhand. You backhanded them.
What is that supposed to mean? Great, you're a member of the Radiant Flame. What are you guys doing here? I don't understand. Why are we here?
I'm here for some civil engineering project.
I know why you're here, Belran. That's why I'm here. I'm
Well,
wondering why
then-
they're here and why they called us here.
Thanks for clarifying.
I don't really know who called me here or what called me here. All I know is that I have this medallion, and it's pulling me here.
Man, I'm fucking lost. Tellman just like sits down and goes, whew, pulls like a little thing out of his jacket, pops the cork, and just takes a heavy drag of whatever liquid is in the container he just pulled out.
Fucking 100%
Sort of like
proof water.
he sort of like passes it or like motions to pass it to Belren. Do you accept?
Yes.
Hands it to you. You smell it. It smells strongly of alcohol. What do you do?
Take a sip.
Yeah, you take a sip.
Josh's
Yeah.
Josh's sip is a whole chug.
The
Hey,
bottle's
what?
gone.
Take some for me. He goes, you're paying for that. He goes, I don't. Let me get this straight. You're here because of that thing on your hand, and you have some magical thing around your neck that's telling you to be here. And we're here because we were sent here by the 3rd Division to come and do an assessment of this place. And who's that guy? And then he looks up and sees Varen walking in through the
Varen's just like
thing.
on top of the fucking like archway, just
Who
looking
are
down.
you?
Walking in.
What are you doing here?
You can call me Varen Coin. Pleasure is yours, I'm sure.
Great.
A human, a dwarf, and a fae walk into an old burned-down tavern. Where's the joke here?
I was hoping you would know.
Mystery to me.
As you guys sort of look around, right, you get the sense that this place has not been fully abandoned forever, right? As depicted in the picture here, there's evidence of like a fire. People have maybe been squatting here. It's kind of broken glass, what have you. And the sun begins to sort of get lower in the sky, and it casts more and more shadow over the pieces of the the dilapidated ruin.
Did you say that the sun begins to set?
It does.
He was getting there.
Varen kind of mouths or whispers aloud part of the letter that he carries in his hand. Which part was it? And seek the mark neath crescent sky. And he begins to just like look around in the on the stone, on the floors, to see if he can find any type of symbol or mark.
Yeah, give me an investigation check.
Yep.
Ooh, I was almost a 16. Yeah, you kind of start kicking through the rubble and such, and moving around, looking for things. Telemann kind of goes and says, what are you looking for, man? Something about a crescent sky? What is this place to you?
I don't know. I think the same as you, I was tasked with coming to this place today.
Well, honestly,
For some
I
reason,
was-
we're all here.
yeah, that's weird. You wouldn't think that. Anyways, doesn't matter.
I hand him the paper that I was given with the riddle, just so he can read it if he wants.
Yeah, he looks at it, reads it over, and goes, "Summertime alone, name, name. Whoever wrote this was quite talented." hands it back and goes, "This is definitely the spot." What are the other two? What are you guys doing?
Is the fire actually burning right now, or is it just actually was it out?
It is out because it's kind of middle of the day, but there's evidence that it's been burned recently.
Well, I have fire resistances, so I'm gonna walk over to it and kind of like move some of the ashes around, or see if there was anything, maybe with the flame.
Sure. Yeah, you do that, and it just appears to be like some charred wood, right? Maybe grabbed from pieces of the building or trees of the like, but nothing really jumps out at you. I want to see here. Do 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 do. Yeah, I don't know if I have a. No, I don't. Yeah. As you do that, not really much kicks up. Dalran, what do you do?
Honestly, I'm gonna start getting to work on the projects.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm gonna take a look around, obviously, and probably start inspecting the structures and more so focused on my tasks at hand. I'm a grumpy dwarf.
Sorry,
Yeah,
It's
you
already
do
getting late in the evening.
You're here to inspect
just
a
wanna get
fully burned down building.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Figure out maybe why it's burnt down. I don't know.
Seems like it's been burnt down for a while. It's kind of curious that they send you to check it out now.
Agreed.
Yeah, while you guys kind of discuss that, you notice that the sun begins to set low in the horizon. There appears to be like long casting golden fingers that kind of stretch across the wreckage one by one. Basically, bathing the majority of the space you're in sort of a ruddy kind of evening light. At that moment, you get a kind of an eerie feeling, right? Whoever wants to give me a perception check.
I got a +6.
That beats me.
You can all do it if you'd like.
Fuck, too late. I'm rolling this shit.
Well, Josh is
Oh, look at that. The +1's better. I don't even see
Jeez, look at that.
critical
Literally
dice numbers.
12, 10, 8.
Let's go.
Yeah,
We're
you
perceiving.
guys kind of like Varen, something about your past, right? You kind of feel the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Belran, you kind of just like are a grumpy dwarf who you know or don't understand fully why you'd be sent to a place that looks like this. Like there's nothing here that would even remotely be worth salvaging. With its proximity to the city and how damaged and destroyed it is. Alendor, you are still sort of kicking about the ashes, and as the ashes sort of float up around you, you kind of look towards a few of the spots in the temple that are now kind of bathed in shadowy light. They don't seem to react the way that you would think light and shadow would, but they almost mix in a way.
Whoops.
Nice. What are you attacking?
I was trying to just click on my features and traits accidentally.
Ready.
And at that moment, you hear the approach of footsteps Telemann goes, now who's here? What now? This day can't get any weirder. And
Aaron
as you
feel
kind
like he has time.
yeah, to do what?
I don't know who's approaching, so I'm just gonna look to the two city, the two people that work for the city, and say, "I was never here," and I go and hide behind something.
Sure. Yeah, you do that. You kind of push your back up against a wall as the footsteps begin to approach. What are the other two people doing as you hear these footsteps approach?
Are you meaning myself?
Yes,
And Ryan?
you and
Okay.
Ryan.
I'll turn to wherever the
I'll just turn
footsteps
to
are
face
approaching
it.
to see what. Yeah, just turn to see what's
Say,
coming.
who's gonna annoy me now?
Yeah, you guys kind of group up together a little bit, and Telemann with you. You kind of head and look towards the entrance. And what you see is kind of a hooded figure, kind of shambling towards the entrance. You both give me an investigation check.
I will give you the best investigation check possible.
I'm so good at these. Yeah, let's go.
On that 15, Belran, you sense something is a bit off here. The way this guy sort of steps and moves, it feels a little disjointed, and almost just like inhuman. He sort of looks up at the two of you, and you see like a face that's half covered by a broken mask, but it's otherwise appears to be a man with cuts on his face. His hair is sort of pasted to the side of his head, and he's got this broken mask. He looks
It's
at
not
you.
the same one that I saw in my little vision, was it? Is it?
It's not the same. That was sort of the visage of Amphara herself. This is kind of like a golden mask that is kind of cracked and broken in certain places. And where his eyes should be are just pure black. Black, black, black. He looks at you and goes, "Trespassers! Oath breakers, the lot of you!" And I want you guys to roll initiative.
Oh shit!
Once we get the initiative.
Oh yeah, we have to roll. We don't even have
Who's
tokens.
this guy?
Cool. Oh,
We don't have our tokens, so nothing actually went through.
hold on. Before we do that, you're here.
There we go.
So you have to click on your token, and then I can't click on my token.
Yeah, let me drag out my own token.
Yeah, let me just delete these.
How do we do that again?
Just click
Go
and
to
drag it.
the journal.
I'm looking
and
for
then
mine.
drag your guy out.
I don't know if Josh's works yet, which might be why we call it a.
There you go.
Now
we go.
roll initiative.
Nice. Oh, I
What?
should probably.
Oh, we're redoing our rolls. Oh no, I'm cooked on this one. This one. Come on, big numbers. Oh,
Oh,
that's what we
hey,
needed.
Sure.
we all did
So which
better.
way is this guy coming from? I could like say that instead of being like I was.
Yeah,
like,
wherever you want to be, man.
I was like in the fire.
You're by the fire. I'm like over here, looking at some
Maybe I went behind
broken
this fallen
stuff.
pillar or something.
Well, this guy was approaching, right? Did you guys turn to go and talk to him?
Well,
Where was he? Oh,
yeah,
he's
was he always
approaching
from
from there.
I turned
yeah,
just
yeah.
to like look
Maybe
at
I'll
him.
be here.
I can actually let's put him down here. That's fine. This looks
Yeah.
like more of an entrance to me, frankly.
Okay,
Yeah,
and I'm here.
I'll be where I am,
see.
just kind of looking down.
And
He's
then I
in
don't have a
fire,
token for
so-
Talamann, who I will find later, but
Well, I got it. I got it.
Does he cower in fear?
Talamann, let's see. I don't think so, not yet.
There he is.
He seems fine. Thanks. And I think we'll probably call it there, if that's okay with you guys.
Mhm.
Damn, Tomlin kind of hot. Kind of good looking. Alrighty,
Oh,
well,
That
that was
kinda
good.
looks- That's exactly how I pictured him.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
That it's really weird. It's
Settled.
crazy how like.
Does he look like Ryan?
Spot on.
Kind of like depressing.
No, I have a bit more hair than him. He's kind of bald.
Yeah, we should add a beard. Anyways, that was a good
We
session.
did it.
Alright,
We're
so-
all together.
So like level.
You're
So now.
all-
So now we're level.
That took so much mental gymnastics.
The plan worked
Uh,
out.
So now we're level
Exactly.
5. I think.
Written.
totally.
20.
Oh
5.
shit! Right,
Oh,
20.
up to 20. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for rolling through that with me. It was a lot of like mental gymnastics to get everybody together, but
Hey,
Made it
setup's
work.
gotta happen.
the setup's got to happen.
And it wasn't at a bar. It was at a burnt down bar. So it's different.
That's right. You always got to meet at a tavern.
Doesn't say it has to be functional.
This one is a great foundation, though.
That's right. Every great saga starts. in
And
a
then we're
tavern.
gonna start the next
Um,
session, and I'm gonna just be like.
Okay. Well, that was another 12 pages of content we got through. So good job, guys.
Shoot with blood.
Guy.
Magic.
This guy's seen some better days.
Just straight up death beam.
Cool. Thanks for the sesh.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah, thank
sticking
you.
with me.
There was parts
Um,
of here that I was like, do I want to just like use detect magic, and just go with it, or do I want to wait until like other moment?
I don't know.
Magic
Do you
on what?
have detect magic?
I do, but I was just like, I'm not sure if like my character would fully understand all that shit because I just even got that medallion and all that, and, like understanding all my shit. Because like last time you said you didn't really want me to produce flame right away, and I did. So it's like,
That's fine. I mean, I think now, like, I would also state that, like, you probably played around with it a little bit on the boat. You had a couple days to kind of feel its power, and you played around with your flame and whatever. Gross.
You did a good investigation check on it.
Yeah, you did. So I think you're.
Okay.
Feel free to do your thing. Oh, okay. I'm gonna call it there. I'm gonna go rest my.
Try to unwind after that.
Yeah.
now Josh just has to go to day shift so we can do this more than once on Sundays.
I just got a promotion on the afternoon
Yeah.
shift, so
Oh yeah, did you get the lead up?
I did.
Nice, dude. Good for you.
Cool,
Okay.
man.
But hopefully not for long. Hopefully I can get a job in the government soon. So
Mhm.
you
All right,
see.
gents.
Surprised to
Thanks for
take
the
the lead
games.
there. Yeah, yeah.
Talk to you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, folks.
Bye.